Hey guys, it's Flowergothic. This is part 2 of a 2-part video. You might want to watch part 1 first for some context, or don't, it's your life. Enjoy. I knew I had fallen in love with Max forever, but I also knew he would not be forever Max. He would be 24 on September 30. In 2 years or so, he would cease being a boy and would turn into a young lad, and then into a man. That horror of horrors, the word forever, referred only to my own passion, to the eternal Max as reflected in my blood, the Max whose shoulder blades had not yet flared, the Max that today I could touch and smell and hear and see, the Max of all the strident voice and rich blonde hair, and the sticky hot neck and the vulgar vocabulary, revolting, super, luscious, good, drip. That Max, my Max, poor catalyst would lose forever. In early 2020, most likely March, Max and Delara broke up. There are various stories on what happened. Some say Kelly encouraged Max to dump her. Others say Max wanted Delara to move in with him and she said no. Those are just 2 of the many explanations out there. We truly don't know. But here's what we do know. In December 2019, Kelly made 2 unusual likes on the Verstappen posts. The first was from Victoria, showing her and Delara talking in the paddock during a race. The second was Max's Christmas post. That was her first like on his account in over 3 years. And it doesn't stop there. She would like 15 of Max's posts throughout the first 8-ish months of 2020. She would repeatedly engage with Victoria's posts when she announced her pregnancy. She even continued to sporadically appear in Lando's likes. Said likes grew more frequent in August. Of course, Kelly's notable Instagram moments weren't just limited to stalking the objects of her affection. She also made content making fun of the COVID-19 pandemic. That includes a photo that originally had the caption, COVID cheat. She would later change it when people talked about it on social media. Of course, that's not getting into the other controversial Instagram post she made. There's one of the transgender slur in it, for fuck's sake! But we only have so much time in one day. Hell, the controversies in August and beyond are so overarching, we can't cover them at once. Let's dissect them separately. On August 21, 2020, Max officially returned to Kelly's likes. I believe he liked a photo of her in a swimsuit in Monaco. He then continued to appear in her likes alongside Lando sporadically. But some were wondering if Kelly got back with Daniil. That's because starting in late August, she started to appear again in his likes too. And not just as a one-off. Come September, things got weirder. Enter, from stage right, Serendipity 181818. We'll call her Serendipity from here on out to keep things simple. While some speculated Kelly got back with Daniil, Serendipity started commenting on all these gossip accounts on Instagram. What was she saying? That no! Kelly is actually with Max now!
Max is secretly going out with Kelly in Monaco, everyone knows.
He's not. Plus, Kelly and Daniel will probably be back together.
Kelly and Daniel are back?
Maybe. They were together in Monaco the past few weeks with their child, of course. But without her in the restaurant, too.
They're just co-parenting. Max and Kelly have been seen, but I will let you figure it out on your own.
She also made a Twitter account in November under the name Serendipity1811. With it, she posted a photo of the 2 of them together at a party.
I think it's official now. Max Verstappen date Kelly Piquet? Hashtag Max Verstappen, hashtag Kelly Piquet.
Let's talk about those photos for a second. The one on the right, Kelly posted that herself on October 31st with the caption, "That's how rumors start." It's since been deleted, but it's been archived to oblivion. Now let's talk about the photo on the left. Kelly's jewelry tells you it was taken on the same night, but it doesn't appear on her account. Where does this photo come from? Well, dear viewer, that photo came from a friend of Kelly's, but said friend's account was private at the time. And yet, Serendipity was not only able to find the photo, but also send it to a gossip account on Instagram. The gossip account credited Serendipity18.18 for the photo. The same uncommon word, the same set of numbers. I'm supposed to believe that's a coincidence? Fuck off! I know what you're thinking. Flower, you're reaching. But hold on, Serendipity1811 admitted she got the photo from one of Kelly's friends on Instagram. She just never said which one. And that Instagram post is still up! The comments even call it out for using a private image. On January 1st, 2021, Max and Kelly hard launched their relationship on Instagram. And guess what? It's one of the rare posts on Max's account that's liked by Lewis Hamilton. Draw your own conclusions from that. And you know what? At first, I think Max was happy. I think he cared about her. I'm not gonna call it love, not after everything we've just covered, but he seemed content? Maybe it's something we'll never really know. But I'm afraid we'll have to talk about Kelly's daughter as well. When Max re-entered Kelly's life, that child would have been around 13 months old. I'm not a parent and I've never dated someone with kids, but I've read the advice. It's pretty consistent. Experts say you're supposed to wait until the relationship is solid before introducing your child to a partner. They're talking about 9 to 12 months on average. And even then, it's supposed to be gradual, not an instant family situation. But Kelly probably did not do that. Thanks to social media and yes, serendipity, we know that Kelly and her child were in the same place at the same time as Max. You can't tell me they are avoiding each other in that situation. So yeah, Max probably met that child too soon. And he's still involved. This is the same Max who's gone on record to say he's not trying to be a stepfather to the child.
I'm not the father. That's not the aim. It's always very important that Kelly's child has a good relationship with her own father, which she has. But I see her every day when I'm at home. We get on very well.
That's what I mean. If you rush that introduction, you're putting an expectation on your partner to be a parental figure. And maybe it's unintentional, maybe it's just vibes, but that's still pressure. And that pressure only gets heavier with time. Which brings us to the big twist. On January 1st, the same day Max and Kelly hard launched, 1811 and 18.18 dropped one more post.
Maybe nobody really knows the truth. Hashtag Kelly Piquet, hashtag Max Verstappen. At F1 Wagsburg, Kelly and Max hide something big.
Serendipity is claiming that Max is the real biological father of Kelly's child. Do I even have to say how fucked up that is? It's wrong on every level. Not only are they suggesting that both Max and Kelly cheated on their partners, but they're also dragging an innocent child into the mess. It's so fucking cruel. Kelly, if you're behind Serendipity, and we're gonna get into why some people think you are, what are you doing? Why drag your own child into this? Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Throughout 2021, Max's fan pages were not treated so kindly by Kelly or her fans. Oh, if you thought Serendipity was a train wreck, buckle up, Buttercup, we ain't seen nothing yet. Let's start with the blocks. Oh yes, the infamous blocks. Many Max fan pages reported being blocked by Kelly herself. And I'm not talking about accounts posting vile insults or invasive content. All they did was post about Max and occasionally make lighthearted jokes. One fan shared that they were blocked by Kelly after joking that she must secretly be a Lewis Hamilton fan. Why? Because she was caught stalking those Lewis Hamilton fan accounts on Instagram. Kelly's response? A block!
Not Kelly Piquet blocking me on Instagram after I told her it was okay to be a Lewis Hamilton fan. Truth hurts, eh?
And it wasn't just on Kelly's account. These pages also got blocked by Max himself. But why? Nothing bad was being said about him. Hell, some people were even being blocked for no reason at all.
Story time! The last year or so, I've been getting into F1. Not because of the drivers, but for the sport. My family have always had a huge interest in cars and everything related to that, and been to a lot of races. So I think in the last 2 races I've posted a picture of my TV when I watched, because I like to be active on Instagram. And in those stories I've tagged Max and maybe add a little smiley or a car emoji. But this weekend I was kinda surprised that Max didn't post anything. So I searched up his account and it said that the posts weren't available or whatever it says when you're blocked. It was so weird.
Another fan would reach out to Max's mom to see what the situation was. Her response was not encouraging, to say the least.
I sent a DM with my personal account to Sophie and told her the name of the account that was blocked by Max, and I didn't understand why and if she could help me. She told me that she would try. I got a DM a few hours later and she told me that I had to ask Kelly. I thought that was very weird because why would Kelly be the one who determines that?
Fishy, fishy, little missy. Let that sink in for a second. Why would Max's mom tell a fan she would need to ask Kelly about Max's blocks? What's really going on here, huh? Then finally, one fan would reach out to Kelly herself to figure out what the fuck was going on. It did not go well.
Hi Kelly, hope you're doing good. I noticed Max blocked me, but you haven't, so I'd really like to know what's going on. I'm a big fan of his and I really want to understand what I did because it broke my heart.
Max was furious about the rumors and rudeness people have been displaying over the past few weeks. He's already stressed enough with the race this weekend, so he blocked everyone.
But I haven't said anything about the rumors. In fact, I keep saying that people should stop spreading fake shit.
Kelly would then block this person after leaving them on red. And on top of that, this conversation happened the same week of the last race of the F1 season. Was Max checking his social media at the time? Well, apparently Helmut Marko himself said he wasn't. I say apparently because I couldn't find a direct quote, but multiple people claim Marko said something like that, including that very Instagram user.
What's funny is that I don't think Kelly knows about what Marko said about Max not checking social media and relaxing for this final race, so she's definitely lying again.
But blocking wasn't even the most disturbing part of all of this. There were also fan-on-fan attacks. Kelly's supporters, or as some call them, her minions, took harassment to new heights. Accounts criticizing Kelly were flooded with hateful messages. Those messages often echoed the same tone and phrasing.
Stop hating on Kelly, or you will be facing serious consequences. Max is furious because of the hate she's been getting recently, and this all has to stop. His PR team already knows about it, and in a matter of time, they will start to take action against the people harassing Kelly. I suggest you stop before it's too late.
You have legit mental problems. How old are you? Probably 13. If you're an adult, then you're really pathetic. I'll be sure to have you mass reported for harassment.
As one person aptly pointed out, funny how Kelly's fans sound exactly like her, almost like it's coordinated. Some accounts were mass reported and taken down entirely. In fact, the harassment became so intense that some of them migrated to other platforms like Tumblr. That's where I found a lot of the resources I've been using to put this video together. Pretty nifty, huh? You can't bury the past forever, Kelly. In fact, let's talk about one of the times you pissed off Max and his family. As you would expect, Jos was not the happiest when Max announced his new relationship, at least from what we can infer. But he was willing to give Kelly a chance. He followed her on Instagram, even commenting on her first post with him. But then came strike one. Allegedly! Kelly and Max visited Jos and his kids in Belgium. While there, Kelly posted an Instagram story. It showed his wife, his then 2-year-old son, and their location. Jos asked Kelly to delete the post. And while we've established Jos is a prick, his reaction here is perfectly justified. He doesn't post his minor children often on social media, and when he does, he never shows where they are, unlike another parent we could think of. But Kelly's response? She refused. It wasn't until Max stepped in and told her to take it down that she reluctantly complied. Even then, the damage was done. Jos definitely didn't appreciate her dismissive attitude, and the seeds of tension were planted. Strike 2 came in early September. Max and Kelly visited Jos during the first Dutch Grand Prix in 35 years. Jos asked Kelly to wait until they were at the track before posting on social media. Why? Because Dutch people are famously passionate about Max. Thus, sharing details prematurely could lead to safety concerns. Again, Jos is being reasonable here, I have no complaints. But Kelly snapped back at Jos. She told him he wasn't her boss and that she could post, quote, whatever she wanted on her social media. Things got heated fast. Jos was understandably upset, and the argument spiraled out of control. This fight didn't just involve Jos. Max was dragged into the mess too. Jos was so fed up with Kelly's bullshit that he confronted Max about her. The tension got so bad that Max opted to sleep in his motorhome on the circuit instead of their hotel. Meanwhile, Kelly stayed behind in Amsterdam. She posted an Instagram story claiming she couldn't attend the Grand Prix because she had to look after her daughter. A sweet sentiment, if it were true, but it wasn't. Her mom was also in Amsterdam and could have easily have babysat. Sylvia's Dutch, remember? Yeah, she's Dutch! Sadly, I haven't been able to find the story. But I found several Tumblr posts talking about Kelly not being at the race. I hope this at least provides some evidence for what I'm saying.
Yesterday, Kelly posted a story captioning last sunset in Amsterdam, so I don't think it was last-minute decision not to attend race. Not only Kelly, his mother Sophie also attend, and only his sister Victoria showed up today, even though she made a Q&A a couple of days ago and said she wasn't going to attend the race. I think Sophie and Jos tries not to be in the same place. She even had a restriction order against him, IIRC, but I kind of feel like Kelly and Verstappen didn't get along.
Damn, folks, relax. Maybe something came along for Kelly and she couldn't attend. Things happen, especially when you have a child, you know.
What could have possibly happened? She could have just left the child with her mom, just like she constantly leaves her behind with the nannies. At least Max got to celebrate his win on his own with his people.
So when Max's most important win, his own girlfriend isn't there?
I feel like this was the race that made the most sense, her being there. Also, the girl herself is half Dutch.
While Kelly was away, something far more serious was brewing on the track. Jos got so sick that he had to be airlifted to the hospital during his son's race. I'm not saying these events are connected, but that's some interesting timing, isn't it? After that incident, Jos unfollowed Kelly on Instagram because of course he did. He would also later follow an anti-grooming account and gossip accounts that criticized Kelly. Not until some of the other things mentioned here happened, specifically the cheating, but still. Jos didn't just quietly back away. He made a statement with that unfollow, and honestly, it's hard to blame him. Let's flash forward to about 3 weeks later. Max is now in Sochi for what would turn out to be the last Russian Grand Prix, at least as of this writing. What was Kelly up to? Before heading to the track, Kelly made a post on Instagram with the caption, "Back to Russia," in it she tagged brands she was working with. It seems benign, no? Well, it wasn't. A Kelly fan account showed screenshots of their interactions with her on Instagram. What did they reveal? Kelly was not only directly chatting with fan pages, but also hinting at her location. As we've established, this was not the first time Kelly exposed her location without safety considerations, and people were starting to side-eye how much she was revealing. Then came race day. Max finished in second place. Not even 5 minutes after it ended, Kelly shared another set of ads on Instagram. She tagged several brands and called herself Max's quote-unquote lucky charm. Fans were quick to call her out. After all, she clearly wrote on Max to promote her partnerships with these brands. So what did she do? She deleted the stories, only to repost them minutes later without the tags. Then post a photo of her holding Max's hand to sweeten the deal. People got suspicious. It only made things look more calculated.
Well, at this point, it feels like Kelly truly reads Tumblr. She's been criticized for promoting stuff and not acknowledging Max, so now she deleted the promos and acknowledged Max.
It's sad that Kelly always has to take advantage of Max. Just look at her stories. She posts them holding hands, but immediately starts advertising whatever she's wearing.
But wait, there's more! A fan posted a picture with Max and mentioned that Kelly refused to take a photo or even wave at them. Look, nobody's Kelly's obligated to pose for pictures. We can all agree on that. But saying a simple no thank you or just waving would have sufficed. Kelly's coldness fanned the flames of rumors that she was dismissive towards Max's fans. Much like how my Kelly was dismissive towards... Nope, we're not doing that. Moving on. It's safe to say that while Max was making headlines on the track, Kelly was making waves off it. For all the wrong reasons. But someone would soon come to Kelly's defense. And it was quite the serendipitous encounter. As the Russian Grand Prix controversy occurred, Serendipity made a comeback. She wasn't here to prove Max and Kelly were together. Oh no! This time, she's here to come to Kelly's defense. She passionately defended Kelly on F1 gossip Instagram pages, and she would give eerily specific details, not just about the race, but about other minor controversies she got involved in.
But what actual truth is there? She went to the race because she was paid by a company to promote a brand. Max is probably well aware and supported it. You don't think she'd be happier sitting at home spending quality time with Mom and P? And then she deleted some stories and reposted. Big fucking deal. Probably made a mistake with tagging. Then the double pic with Max was a repost from a fan account. And the last one, she probably added the Paris effect that everyone uses to make the image dreamier. And you say fans are angry at her? For fucking what? Them? Did she do something bad to Max? Every race she's been to has given him amazing results. And by the way, she never even saw Max in Italy because she was working with brands and didn't want to mix both things and both stick to their own jobs like grown-ups. Maybe you guys should grow up too.
By the way, the Italy thing refers to the Italian Grand Prix, which was 2 weeks before Russia. Max was there, obviously. Kelly was in Italy too, but not in Monza with Max. Instead, she was in Milan, and they did not make an effort to meet up. But let's break down this comment. First off, she was there to, quote, promote a brand. Okay, what about the other product placements she did while there? Then, she refers to Kelly and her daughter as Mom and P, P being her daughter's first initial. You know, like as if she's speaking in the first person! Also, how does she know which Instagram filter Kelly used? It's not listed on the stories. And finally, that Italy comment. The one about how they, quote, stick to their jobs like grown-ups. How would anyone know that unless they were either extremely close to Kelly or Kelly herself? It gets weirder. In later comments, Serendipity would try and justify Kelly using Max to try and shill tacky jewelry while in Russia.
If you had half a brain cell, then maybe you would notice that she made an ad for APM yesterday, and today posted about the other jewels, but she probably had to wait a few days to not clash and just made a mistake. It happens, but you seem to know everything, and you track her every move. So let's see this week what happens with the post, and you tell me if it's just her trying to get attention, or in fact it was a job. Also, she didn't promote anything in Portimao Castellet, Austria, not Netherlands. The only 2 races she was paid to do a project was Monaco and now Russia. So to say that she does ads every race is a bit exaggerated.
In case you're confused, let me give you a quick breakdown. Serendipity is insisting Kelly's posts weren't a reaction to public backlash. Instead, it was part of a pre-arranged quote-unquote deal, going as far to detail which events Kelly was quote-unquote paid to promote. And she goes on to claim Kelly did not delete and re-upload the stories because of the backlash. Instead, it was part of the deal.
She didn't wait for people to say something to change it. It was changed in less than 5 minutes. Every deal has a contract, and sometimes you're obliged to tag the brand and sometimes not. You have no clue about the full story, and you're just steering to the negative always. No one is asking anything of her, and she has no obligation of giving any satisfaction to haters on the internet. The fact that she bothers you so much to the point that you create a page is super creepy.
Yes, deals have different obligations. But how the fuck would Serendipity know this? So why did Kelly re-upload the post without tagging the sponsors? She posted them in front of F1 and Red Bull backgrounds, so they made her remove them. That's also why she was not subsequently invited to go to the next Grand Prix in Austin. people connected the dots. They figured out Serendipity frequently commented when Kelly's name was making waves, and she would come quickly. Gossip about Kelly would go live, and Serendipity was there, often before everyone else, there to defend her to the death. So, people commented about Serendipity on Kelly's posts. Some were innocent, others were more accusatory.
How are you doing, Serendipity?
Are you really Serendipity 18?
Some even thought the comments went too far, but then Kelly started to delete them. To delete every comment mentioning or asking about Serendipity. Why delete comments about something you're not involved in? Or you could just say, no, I'm not Serendipity. Either would cover up your tracks more than outright deleting the comments. As this Tumblr Anon put it,
I thought it was disrespectful to go under her post and write something about Serendipity, but after seeing her delete the comments, since Kelly deleted those comments, she's either knew the Serendipity drama or she is Serendipity. I think it's more likely than Serendipity is Kelly, because if she only knew their drama, she wouldn't delete comments so as not to become suspicious.
after gossip accounts got wind of it, Kelly suspiciously stopped deleting the comments. Almost as if she was reading what people said about her online again. Almost. But wait, it gets even worse! People noticed that Serendipity Prime was following a bunch of Dolores Sonlick fan pages. You know, Max's last girlfriend before Kelly? Coincidence? I think not! And now for the smoking gun, the email. Someone discovered the email and phone number linked to Serendipity's Instagram. And guess what? They matched the ones linked to Kelly's public Twitter account. You heard that right. They matched! The email starts with a K-E and ends with a T. The US phone number would make sense as Kelly lived in New York for a while. We established that way back in the beginning, and Kelly definitely could have kept that number even after leaving. And once this all came out, once the email and number were confirmed, Serendipity vanished. She didn't try and claim otherwise. She didn't come out to say she wasn't Kelly. She would never be seen or heard from again. Or would she? Because while Serendipity was laying low, another Instagram account took to defending Kelly. This one was called JanssenJ776. We'll call them Janssen from here on out. Janssen appeared in the same corners of the F1 gossip sphere. They commented on the same posts as Serendipity. They defended her with the same level of ferocity. And they used eerily similar language and phrasing. Then someone reached out to Queen Kelly PQ, an Instagram account dedicated to exposing Kelly. Queen was already blocked by Kelly, and Queen blocked Serendipity after she kept spamming her. Wouldn't you know it, while Serendipity stopped viewing Queen stories, Janssen J776 started looking through them. Oh, and in case you have any doubts, Queen posted an Instagram story showing Kelly following fellow F1 driver Charles Leclerc. It was viewed by Janssen. And then, Kelly unfollowed Charles. Make of that what you will. And then came the cheating rumors. That's right, the cheating rumors! On December 3rd, 2021, a Twitter user called Here For A While made a thread. They alleged that Kelly was having an affair while Max was away at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. According to them, they were at the Gaia Monte Carlo when they spotted Kelly with a, quote, average-looking man. They thought she was with a friend at first, but then things got a little too cozy for comfort.
They started to get all touchy. A lot for someone who has a boyfriend, if you ask me. Her friend wanted to record the whole thing, so the man moved away while she did it. That's why you can't see a man there, but you can see Kelly and another woman.
Oh, right, before I forget, Kelly was with another friend too! And allegedly! Parts of this outing were released on Kelly's Instagram stories. But the most damning part? Things escalated after the recording attempt. Here For A While claimed the man's hand was on Kelly's thigh while she was smoking and laughing. And remember, Max was in Jeddah at the time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, it's important to note that no concrete evidence has surfaced to confirm these claims. But considering what we already know about her, would you really be surprised if they were true? The pressure at the Grand Prix that year was astronomical! And moments like these, they only made it worse. The 2021 F1 season was like no other in the 21st century, and not just because of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the heart, of course, was the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton just got a 4th consecutive win in 2020, and that was his 7th championship overall. Lewis hoped to get his 8th in 2021. Why? That would break the record for most Drivers' Championships. Max quickly rose to be a genuine challenger. The two made podium after podium. Early on, Max scored a victory in Monaco while Lewis finished 7th. That extended his lead for a little while, because even though he retired in the race right after, Lewis didn't score any points either, and Max would then win 3 consecutive first place finishes. But then came the British Grand Prix. It was already shaping up to be dramatic. The home crowd was roaring for Hamilton. Red Bull was determined to maintain its newfound edge. But this race would quickly become infamous. On the very first lap, Lewis and Max's rivalry exploded. Quite literally.
This is the accident. Oh, and it was the merest of touches, but it was enough. And look how the wheel has come loose from the rim. Racing incidents.
I wonder what the stewards will think about
Could Hamilton have done anything to give Max Verstappen room there and avoid that crash? He was on the inside.
The race was temporarily halted while Max was rushed to the hospital. Initial reports said he was fine, but he later revealed he suffered from blurred vision for some time afterward. Hamilton would get a 10-second penalty, but still went on to win the race. The aftermath, a whirlwind of emotions and opinions. Christian Horner called Hamilton's driving desperate and unacceptable. Max himself would later call Hamilton's victory celebrations disrespectful and unsportsmanlike. As for Kelly, she would also criticize Hamilton on social media. I mean, I kind of get it, but given her previous attraction to him, I found it kind of funny.
Hi Kelly, how are you? I wanted to know if it was you who said you couldn't celebrate when you had a colleague in the hospital. Can you explain your stories to me?
Answer me a question. Was Max the reason for the accident? Did Max win the race because he pushed his opponent? Did Max celebrate the event as if it were a championship victory? You make me laugh.
That is some villain energy right there, Kay. The races continued. By the final round, Hamilton and Verstappen were deadlocked at 369.5 points. It's a rarity in F1, a winner-takes-all decider in Abu Dhabi. The atmosphere was electric, with fans and teams bracing for a historic contest. Hamilton got the better start. He took the lead into the first quarter and maintained control for most of the race. He had the pace, the strategy, and the experience. Max stayed close, but was always just out of reach. It looked like Hamilton was on his way to his record-breaking 8th world title. But then, with just 5 laps to go, everything changed! Another car crashed into the barriers, bringing out a safety car. Suddenly, that comfortable gap between Hamilton and Max was gone. Red Bull immediately called Max to the pits for fresh soft tires. Mercedes left Hamilton out on his worn hard tires to maintain track position. It was a gamble, but under normal conditions, it would have been the right call. Track position is keen at Abu Dhabi, and with only a few laps left, it's rare for racing to resume after a late safety car. But this was not a normal situation. Not at all. Race director Michael Masi made a decision that would become infamous. Under normal circumstances, all lapped cars would be allowed to unlap themselves, but Masi only allowed the 5 lapped cars between Lewis and Max to move aside. This cleared a path for Verstappen to restart the race directly behind Hamilton. And remember, he was on fresh tires, while Hamilton was left a sitting duck on his old, worn ones. And on the final lap, with the world watching, Max made his move. One corner, then another. Lewis defended, but the grip difference was too great. Max overtook him to become the 2021 Formula One world champion. For Verstappen and Red Bull, it was jubilation. For Mercedes and Hamilton, it was heartbreak. The aftermath was an absolute frenzy. Mercedes filed protests against the handling of the restart procedures, arguing that the regulations hadn't been properly followed. And while those protests didn't go anywhere, they did give us one of the most iconic memes of the season.
With controversy. No, Mike, that was so not right.
And it wasn't just Mercedes that was upset at the decision. Even former drivers expressed their disappointment.
It's a lot of not very happy people. And a lot of very happy people. This is a new way of running the sport where the race director can make these ad hoc decisions. It's been a bit too, guess what I'm gonna do now, I think.
Whether it's intentional or not,
The entertainment value of this controversy has gone through the roof. But I think there has to be a balance somewhere, because the decisions Massey made completely ignored any level of common sense as to what would have been a fair way to handle the situation.
This whole ordeal led to regulation changes in F1, but in the end, that doesn't matter. Max Verstappen lifted the trophy. Red Bull celebrated. The cameras flashed. The headlines were written. Formula One moved on. People moved on. And we will move on. So what were Max and Kelly up to when the season ended? Let's talk about it. Well, Max usually spent the holidays at home with his family, in the Netherlands, and Red Bull itself confirmed this would be the case after their Christmas party. The Verstappen family Christmas was basically a tradition at this point. But in 2021, that didn't happen. Why? Kelly and Jos had a massive fight. We don't know exactly what sparked it, but considering Kelly's history, I have a few guesses. And I'm sure you do too. Instead, Max flew to Brazil with Kelly for the holidays, and this change of plans was not subtle. What if Kelly's friends leaked it beforehand, possibly at Kelly's behest? Why? Probably for attention or to stir up drama, but we can never be sure. No, wait, of course it was for the attention!
How is your end of year madness going? Because mine is surreal. We're on the plane going to Brazil, finally.
It's worse. She might have, but let's be honest, definitely leaked it to our fan base too.
Enjoy the trip, Kelly. I already knew for a time that they were going to Brazil. And now you guys all know it also. I love to see it, and also a happy redacted makes me feel good.
Okay, that's definitely a normal thing to say out loud. If you thought Max and Kelly were going to keep things low-key in Brazil, you have not been paying attention. Kelly's social media was working overtime. She posted Max a lot, and not just in smiling couple shots, but in moments where he was less than camera ready per se. I'll be frank. The whole vibe was just off. It felt less like, here's my happy boyfriend enjoying vacation, and more like, look at my drunk boyfriend, isn't he so silly, ooh-woo? And things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean cringe. Kelly posts this video of her ice skating with Max. It starts off nice enough with them on the ice and shit, but then there goes Kelly dramatically flopping to the ground, or more accurately, slowly collapsing while pulling Max down with her. Intentional. People called it out for being fake as hell, which it was. It didn't even look like a real fall. It looked like someone was trying to fall, but also making sure they didn't actually hurt themselves. And of course, instead of ignoring it, Kelly did what she does best. She argued with the fans.
I love how you literally fall down for the cameras. Hashtag how fake.
I really feel for you and how much pain and anger you must have inside you. For no happy person spends their time spreading hate.
I'm happy, and I have no pain and sadness. I just see things, and learned about things at my psychology class. But I really wish the same for you. You know what they say? Liars can't be liars forever. But I send you positivity and lights.
I don't think your psychology classes are helping your case. What you need is a psych ward.
That's some villain dialogue right there. Like, I'm pretty sure that's straight out of a Netflix drama antagonist's playbook. But what can we conclude from this? Well, firstly, that Kelly is still very immature for a woman in her 30s. But also, it shows just how similar Max's past and present are. He runs away from his father's control, right into the clutches of somebody else's. It also shows how Kelly thrives on attention and being talked about. She leaked their change of plans. She made sure the entire world knew that Max was with her. She had her weird online battles with people she'll never meet. It's a pattern. And as you'll see later on, it's a pattern that only gets more cryptic and controlling. Max and Kelly's winter break wasn't just a vacation. It was a display, a reminder that for all the glamorous captions, there's still something deeply off about them. But at least it gave us the ice skating video, because that was fucking hilarious. Oh, I had to keep a very sharp eye on Max. Little limp Max. owing perhaps to constant amorous exercise, he radiated, despite his childish appearance, some special languorous glow, which threw garage fellows, hotel pages, vacationists, goons in luxurious cars, maroon morons near the blue pools, into fits of concupiscence, which might have tickled my pride, had it not incensed my jealousy, for little Max was aware of that glow of his, and I would often catch his colonel regard in the direction of some amiable female, some fangirl with a screw-on-y, golden brown forearm and chunky braceleted wrist. And hardly had I turned my back to go and buy this very Max a lollipop, than I would hear him, and the fair maiden burst into a perfect love song of wisecracks. "2022 is when the bulk of Kelly's controversies arguably happened, and when criticism against her on social media was at its strongest. Like with the last section, we'll need to break it down one by one. Let's start in early 2022, and oh boy, if you thought 2021 was messy, this is a whole new level of chaos. In January, Max, Kelly, and Kelly's daughter vacationed in Miami. And guess what? Allegedly! Kelly decided to call the paparazzi on herself. This was meant to be a staged photo op to portray them as a happy-dappy family with no issues at all. But the nanny was also in the picture. Yeah, she was awkwardly in the background of some of the shots. You can't make this shit up. How can we assume Kelly called the paparazzi on herself? I'm not speaking out of my ass here. The photos were published in Rupert Murdoch's The Sun, credited to a mega agency. What is mega agency? Well, when you Google it, you first get a website that seems to be above board. It's a multinational firm that specializes in providing quality photos to media groups. But here's the thing. That agency focuses on photojournalism, not tabloid fodder, and the only F1 pictures they shared in 2022 were from Sergio Perez's Monaco Grand Prix win. Well, those are the only ones they posted on their social media, but still! Yeah, they focused on some celebrities, but they only paid attention to A-listers. So which agency did Kelly use? The mega agency that's based in Rhode Island. You know, the one that focuses on brand growth? Make of that what you will. Let's now talk about February! Allegedly! Early on, Kelly posted a picture of her holding hands on an Instagram story. But there was a catch. That catch? The photo was stolen from Pinterest! It was edited to brighten the skin tones and remove a bracelet. And that's not all. Later that month, Kelly posted pictures of her Valentine's gifts. They included a rose bouquet, a gold rose, and a teddy bear. Cute, right? Here's the thing. Allegedly! Some internet sleuths dug around and found the teddy bear in question. And guess what? It wasn't even available for sale at the florist those flowers came from at the time. To put it in short, both of these incidents might have been staged. But wait, it gets worse. Let's cut to later in February. Max is in Barcelona for pre-season testing. Someone who claimed to be there said Max was looking very angry. The one time they heard Max speak, it was on the phone, and what he said was clear. "You better be gone when I get home." Now, we can't conclusively confirm if Max was speaking to Kelly, or if this story is true at all. But later that month, Kelly was spotted in Brazil. Some people even claimed that rumor had it the two were broken up or on break. But by March 7, Kelly was back in Monaco with otitis apparently. So she told fans she couldn't go to preseason testing with Max because of it. For those who don't know, otitis is an infection that happens in your middle ear, where your eardrum is. It's a very painful experience. 0 out of 10 do not recommend. At one point, she even posted selfies of Max kissing her while she was supposedly ill. Why is she posting these? Why is she kissing Max when she's apparently sick? I know it's otitis, but that's still a very painful thing to have. The world may never know. There's a lovely graphic that explains the March 7 situation in detail. I'll leave it up for a few seconds. Oh, and by the way, the child was probably still in Brazil at the time. And remember here for a while, the Twitter account that claimed Kelly cheated on Max? Well, they returned to say that, yes, they did break up, but Kelly wasn't having it.
She left for Brazil and now she's back. And the only reason why she's still in Max's apartment is because he's not there. From what I've heard, she played the I don't have anywhere else to go card, so Max agreed to let her stay for a while. She's basically begging him to stay with her, and Max is nowhere to be seen because he is with his father right now. But what about the stories she posted? I also thought Max and Kelly were okay after she posted the welcome home gifs. But apparently, these are old makeup gifts he gave Kelly after a fight.
They ultimately made up later in the month, as Kelly appeared at the opening race in BahrEin. Speaking of, by the time of the BahrEin opener, the drama intensified, and anonymous fans spotted Max and Kelly arguing at breakfast. What were they fighting about? Nobody knows for sure, but it was public enough to be noticed. Later that day, Kelly was seen watching the race, alone from the tower. Usually, she would be at the paddock box. For those unfamiliar with driver family etiquette, this is a big deal. Paddock box seats are for the closest family, the inner circle. Watching from the tower? That's a statement. Max did not finish the race, and things didn't get any better. Fans reported that Kelly tried to be clingy with him, but that Max was not reciprocating. This was probably a bad time to have that emotional support girlfriend try-hard energy. But if you think this was the peak of the mess, oh, you have no idea what's next. In early April, Jos unfollowed Kelly on Instagram. Again, the exact reason is unclear, but it might have to do with the Jos hate accounts that started popping up. Yeah, we should talk about those. The drama started when a Kelly fan account, supposedly run by a teenager named Abril, targeted Jos. This wasn't just casual trolling either. These accounts were making bold claims. They were exposing supposed dirt about Jos and going all in on the hate train. And to make things even messier, Kelly was allegedly involved. Max's manager, Raymond Vermeulen, and Jos himself suspected Kelly encouraged these accounts, or at the very least, that she knew about what these fan pages were up to. Why? Well, Kelly suddenly acted like she had no clue what was going on in her own social media sphere. Convenient, right? So, during the race, Raymond confronted her. Things escalated to the point where he forced Kelly to contact the accounts in question. Kelly reportedly tried to refuse, but at the time, Max wasn't with her, leaving her with two options: own up or look guilty. Things took a sharp turn. Abril exposed Kelly for allegedly orchestrating the hate campaign. She even apologized to Jos directly. This was a major blow to Kelly's carefully curated image of innocence. And Jos reportedly learned everything about what Kelly had been up to. All the fan page drama, the accusations, and so on. As expected, this caused major tension between Jos and Kelly. Jos wasn't exactly Kelly's biggest fan before, but this incident solidified her spot on his blacklist. The Verstappen family doesn't take kindly to public embarrassments, and Kelly's involvement in this mess was clearly too far. Seriously, if your behavior is so fucked up that people cheer when Jos shows up to see Max race, you fucked up. Even Kelly's fan account couldn't escape unscathed. Abril ended up deleting her profile altogether. Whether it was out of guilt, pressure from Kelly, or a calculated move to shift the narrative, we'll never know. But what we do know is that she later returned to make another Jos hate account in June. This time she was directly confronted by Victoria, and she immediately caved.
I apologize for causing trouble. I was trying to help someone that in the end betrayed me the way she has betrayed others. I will delete this post soon, so don't worry about it. Thank you for being respectful.
What the actual fuck, girl? Let's take a moment to highlight some of these Jos hate accounts. One particularly vocal account exposing the Verstappens targeted all of Max's family. This account made wild claims, accusing Sophie and Victoria of using Max's fame for clout.
The Verstappens and their fans talk about Kelly taking advantage of Max, but what about his family? His mom only goes to the important races, or the ones in which Max will have a lot of attention. Miami, Monaco, and the Netherlands, and sits on boats that Max and Kelly pay for. His sister only went to the Dutch GP and to Max's ceremony when he was appointed as an officer in order. How convenient.
And when one of these accounts got exposed, Kelly conveniently played dumb. we've learned here is that Kelly's social media sphere is a chaos factory, and she's the one pulling the strings. And if she's not, then she's just really, really bad at damage control. On April 17th, 2022, an F1 gossip account followed by Jos dropped a series of messages they had with someone. Which someone? Well, someone who claimed he had an affair with Kelly. Let's dissect the messages together. Shall we? Oh, and for convenience, let's call this affair partner, Randy. We don't know his real name, and we probably will never know his real name, so we'll stick with Randy. According to Randy, he met Kelly in December 2021. Their families were apparently friends, so they had been acquainted for years. He even appeared in some of the photos Kelly took while in Brazil, but she got those removed. Soon, though, things escalated.
I then traveled to Monaco to visit her in mid-March to visit her because she wasn't going to attend the race. She told me it was because Max's dad was going to be there and he didn't like her at all. I felt bad and went to visit her. You know what happened. Then I left and came back last week for the Australian GP because she was alone again.
Around April, Max was in the Netherlands, leaving Kelly alone again. She contacted Randy to see if he could come around, but he had a change of heart.
I broke things off because there were some things I didn't agree with. The cheating is already enough, but that's a decision she took. But mainly, I didn't like the way she treats her daughter.
That's the basic story. But let's take another look at these messages, as it shows some concerning details about Kelly's behavior. Exhibit A. Randy claims Kelly didn't want to stay at Max's apartment during a visit. Why? You could see what happened on the security cameras. Instead, she allegedly arranged for a hotel. There, she could spend time with Randy discreetly.
Did you stay at a hotel with Kelly when you were in Monaco?
Yes, I did. She didn't want us to be in the apartment. I have no idea why.
Because there are cameras in Max's house?
Of course he has. Now it all makes sense, see? This is what I was talking to you about.
Pro tip! If someone you're hooking up with wants to meet somewhere that is not their place, in the city where they live, they're probably cheating on someone. Exhibit B. Randy talks about Kelly's controlling behavior during their affair. He also details some of her behavior around Max. Randy says Kelly wanted to check his phone, something she said she does with Max too.
I also didn't like the way she was always messaging me and asking where I was. She's hot, but she's toxic. She even wanted to check my phone the way she checks Max, and I said no. That was our first argument, and after that I noticed that it wasn't worth it. After breaking things off, she called me and started screaming at me. I told her the reasons why I didn't want to be with her and ended the call.
Oh, and speaking of Max, this is how Randy said Kelly described him.
She never said that much about Max, besides that he's boring and bland, I think. But he treats her like a queen, which to me is very sad, because he doesn't know half of the things she does.
God damn, I hope this video reaches Max in some way. Randy also sounded remorseful in the exchange. He said neither Max nor Kelly's daughter deserved what happened. He also didn't want to get super involved because he, quote, knows what she's capable of. Randy even showed screenshots proving he blocked Kelly on Instagram post-affair. As a final mic drop, he shared a blurry DM from Kelly where she sent him a lewd selfie with the caption, "Should I post this on my story?" Suppose even half of what Randy alleges is true. In that case, it paints a picture of Kelly as someone deeply manipulative. It shows she is willing to use others for her gain while maintaining her public image. And if Randy's words don't make you side-eye her, those blurry DMs definitely will. Kelly didn't just use Instagram to allegedly cheat on Max in 2022. She also used it to continue some of her strange behavior. June 14, 2022, a photographer who claimed to have formerly worked for Kelly shares her experience on Reddit, including screenshots of Instagram DMs the two purportedly had. The conversation starts normal enough. Kelly reaches out, requested a photographer to take some pictures for her feed. All is above board, and the photographer responds accordingly.
How are you? I need to take some pictures for my feed, and I was wondering when you're free.
Hi, Kelly. Very good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? For when exactly do you need these pictures, and where are they being taken? I'm busy this weekend and the next week, but I'll see if I can get you on my agenda.
The bombshell. She needs the photos this weekend, and that Elon Musk's mom would be with her for some reason. The photographer politely explains this would be impossible, and she adds this is why she always asks for a week's notice. Kelly, to her credit, takes this well.
Please, I really need you to help me.
I know, and I'd love to, but I really can't. I'll be in Nisa the whole weekend. It's impossible for me.
How much do you want? You know I have the money.
Kelly even pulls the Max card to try and get the photographer to reconsider.
Everything can be modified. You're seriously turning down this opportunity? You'll be photographing me in Monaco, and I'll make sure you can photograph Max as well.
Of course, the photographer politely declines. At that point, Kelly throws her niceness out the window. She insists that the photographer is turning down the, quote, biggest opportunity of her life, and she adds she won't hire her again. The entitlement is palpable. The photographer stands her ground, refusing to drop her pre-existing commitments. You'd think that would end the conversation. Spoiler, it doesn't!
As if your work was the best.
Maybe for you, it's not anymore, and that's totally okay for me. Just be respectful. You were the one who posted the pictures I took of you without crediting me, and then you deleted them from your profile.
Because I can't have random things on my feed. I'm an agency model. Are you really going to ignore me?
The screenshots paint a clear picture of someone who isn't used to hearing the word no. Kelly seems determined to get her way, regardless of how inconvenient it might be for others. Does this behavior align with Kelly's public image of sophistication and elegance? Not exactly. Instead, it suggests a pattern of entitlement and disregard for professional boundaries. As we've observed, that theme has also cropped up in other areas of her life. Of course, that's not the only shit Kelly pulled. Let's flash forward to August 18th, 2022. While I was spending time in my hometown celebrating my dad's birthday, Kelly posted an Instagram story of her, Max, and the child in a pool. But this wasn't just any family pool photo. For one, the setup felt off, and well, it was just kind of cringe? So much so that the internet quickly took the time to make it a meme.
Don't be sad, my love. We will take care of that DRS button.
Loving the Max Verstappen reference in She-Hulk.
But Kelly didn't limit her cringe to pool shoots. September 16th rolls around. On this fine September day, Kelly decided to share a broody, high-fashion shot of herself. The caption?
Incredibly honored to have been photographed by the amazingly talented @PaulBellart.
Pretty standard influencer fare, right? Well, it would have been if that photo had not been from an old photo shoot. And because the internet doesn't forget, people were quick to point that out. So much so that Kelly quietly edited the caption later on.
Incredibly honored to have been photographed by the amazingly talented @PaulBellart. A memory I will cherish.
As you can see, the whole ordeal was screenshotted and shared. That cemented yet another moment of Kelly trying and failing to sell an illusion. September 18, 2022. Kelly remains the expert in turning mundane moments into social media spectacles. This time, the aftermath of a wedding! But not just any wedding. This was a wedding held at the uber-luxurious Mayborn Riviera by her interior designer! It was supposed to be a classy event, but not only was Kelly's dress fucking hideous, she also made the opposite of a classy Instagram story.
The day after.
We can all agree this is the social media equivalent of nudging your buddies and going, guess what? Guess what? Guess fucking what? We just had sex! Within hours, the post was circulating online with people raising their virtual eyebrows. Some labeled it cringy, others called it outright tacky, and honestly, I agree! Why advertise your sex life on Instagram after attending someone else's wedding?
Kelly Piquet really has no decency left in her, if there ever was any.
Everything I know about the drivers' sex lives is against my will.
The pandemic of oversharing strikes again.
Ugh, what happened to shame?
The overwhelming sentiment? Kelly might want to think twice before sharing this not-so-private moment. You know, like normal people. October 3rd, 2022. It's not just Mean Girls Day for those who celebrate, it's also the day Kelly blessed her Instagram followers with oddly revealing photos of Max. First, we have a cozy shot of Max's wrist wrapped in a towel, showing off what happens to be a children's watch. Cute, right? Maybe even endearing. But then Kelly doubled down with the second story, Max lounging shirtless in a hot tub. The image was so up close and personal that it felt like it belonged in a private family album. Hell, not even that! All I could say about this is, doesn't it add another layer to Kelly's reputation for oversharing? And that's the thing with Kelly. Her Instagram is a masterclass in oversharing. It makes Max look like he's stuck in some reality TV subplot. It's like her entire social media strategy is built on this mantra. If you have a private moment, ruin it! Fuck, but all of this is nothing compared to the worst thing she posted in 2022. Okay, content warning for what is basically child porn. If you're uncomfortable with me discussing that, please move on to the next section. Thank you very much. On August 28, 2022, Kelly posted a series of photos of her with her daughter. It had the caption, "Best day with my P," P referring to her daughter. They were vacationing in Saint-Tropez. But in the posts, Kelly thought the best course of action was to share topless pics of her 3-year-old daughter. This is my censorship, not hers, and I am not going to show the uncensored versions for obvious reasons. Kelly, what the actual fuck is wrong with you? Kelly thought it was perfectly okay to post images of her 3-year-old child without a top. This was plastered for the whole fucking world to see. This was posted on Instagram, for God's sake. Anyone could screenshot, save, and potentially misuse these images. And Kelly made the active choice to do this. She made that choice despite being in the public eye long enough to know better. And these aren't the only times Kelly posted her kid naked. She even made a reel that's still up to this day of her child dancing topless. This comes from TikTok account POV the Piquet family because, I'll admit it, I was so disgusted I couldn't bring myself to look for my own copy. I know I said it, but it bears repeating. Kelly Piquet, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is not some one-off mistake or lapse in judgment. It's a repeated pattern of behavior that shows a disregard for your child's well-being. You are a public figure with a massive platform. That alone comes with an inherent responsibility to make better choices. Those choices don't just affect you, but they also affect people close to you. You know, like your daughter! Instead, you blur the lines between what's private and public. You focus on content and clout over basic parental judgment. What the fuck? And let's not ignore the bigger picture here, Kelly. I know your family is not much better. In fact, I think it's time I talk about the biggest Piquet scandal of 2022. Surprise! The family whose patriarch called his rival gay and had a wife who allegedly peed on someone's bed is racist. Who would have thought? How did this come to fruition? Well, let's flash back real quick to 2021. You might remember the infamous British Grand Prix. Lewis and Max collided on the first lap, sending the latter to the hospital. Some people were pissed at Lewis for the collision, but none probably more so than Nelson Sr. During an interview that November, Nelson Sr. gave his 2 cents on what happened. Only instead of sticking to race strategy, he referred to Lewis using a racial slur. Yep, a fucking slur.
O que o Verstappen teve com o Hamilton foi meio parecido esse que teve acho que foi na Inglaterra.
Em Silverstone?
É.
Não, teu carro deixou.
I won't repeat the word for obvious reasons, but from my understanding, it was the Brazilian Portuguese version of the N-word. I know it doesn't literally translate to the N-word. I know there are people out there who say it's a term of endearment, but sources say it can also be used as a slur. And because it was used as a slur in this context, we will be referring to it as such. The comment went unnoticed until June 2022, when it resurfaced on social media. Motorsports officials and fans did not take kindly to it. Lewis himself also condemned what Nelson Sr. said, saying, quote, "These archaic mindsets need to change and have no place in our sport." But the biggest surprise? The FIA itself condemned the remarks. Yeah, the governing body for the sport that has for decades raced in countries with less than stellar human rights records condemned what Nelson Sr. said.
The FIA strongly condemns any racist or discriminatory language or behavior. We express our solidarity with Lewis Hamilton and fully support his commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion in motorsports.
How did Senior respond? Well, he quote-unquote apologized, claiming he never meant for the comments to come off as racist. Of course, he insisted the term he used was totally fine where he's from.
What I said was ill thought out, and I make no defense for it. But I would clarify that the term used is one that has widely and historically been used colloquially in Brazilian Portuguese as a synonym for guy or person, and was never intended to offend. I would never use the word I have been accused of in some translations. I strongly condemn any suggestions that the word was used by me with the aim of belittling a driver because of his skin color.
Now, I would get why some people believe this poor excuse of an apology, if it wasn't for the fact that days later, Nelson Sr. was also caught using homophobic language in that same interview. And yes, that bit was also directed toward Hamilton.
O que é? Era uma bosta. Não, valor nenhum.
Entendi. Eu tô querendo rir, mas...
não tem. É que nem o filho dele, ganhou um campeonato. O neguinho devia estar dando mais cura naquela época e tá meio ruim.
So what did F1 do? They banned Nelson Sr. from the paddock entirely, at least until 2024 when he was spotted at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and several people were pissed at that, including Brazilians. Amid all the backlash, Kelly did what she does best, go silent and hope the bullshit goes away. Comments on her Instagram were restricted. She went on a brief self-inflicted hiatus. Of course, because it's Kelly, this didn't mean she stayed entirely uninvolved. She quietly liked a post from a family member defending her father's actions. Because of course she did! Kelly, you had the opportunity to say something. Anything. You could have shown the world that you don't condone this behavior. Instead, you quietly sided with your dad while hiding behind an Instagram filter. And before anyone comes at me with the, "But it's her dad, of course she's going to defend him" argument, no. Family or not, you hold people accountable. You hold them accountable, especially when their actions are this public and harmful. Your father is a grown man. He can face the consequences of his own words. But instead, Kelly doubled down on the Piquet family tradition of dodging responsibility. Max's first response to the situation came during the next race. Coincidentally, it was the 2022 British Grand Prix. Let's listen to it together.
Horrible, discriminatory language, comments from Yuri Vips and from Nelson Piquet as well. Do you condemn that kind of behavior, not only in motorsport, but in wider life
in general, well? I think all over the world, right? I mean, it's not only in Formula One. I think it's, not correct to use these words, but I think that already starts with education nowadays from a younger age, that at home, at schools, you need to be taught these kind of things cannot be said or used in general. And that's what we're working on, and of course F1 together also with Lewis. They are working on that for the future, and all the drivers are behind that. We are all supporting them.
A bit PR-y, but seems to be okay. He's a driver for a sport that strives to be apolitical when possible, so I guess this is fine. But at a later press conference, shit hit the fan. Max called Nelson Sr.'s comments not correct again, but before you give him his flowers, he went out of his way to insist the man wasn't racist.
I've spent a bit of time with Nelson, and he's definitely not a racist, and he's actually a really nice and relaxed guy. The statement he released, you can see the word in two ways, but I think it's still better not to use it. him.
Max, don't think I'm not going to take the time to call you out for that. Why? You had one job. One fucking job! All you had to say was, what Nelson Sr. said was wrong and I don't support it. That's it! But no! You had to hit us with a, he's actually a nice guy, guys! Honest! Really, Max? The man who used both a racial and homophobic slur in the same interview is nice and relaxed. Because guess what, Max? Nice people can still be racist. Relaxed people can still be homophobic. Just because they treat you well doesn't absolve them of whatever vile shit they say. This is basic human decency 101. And to be frank, it's not like you're some random bystander. You're dating Nelson Sr.'s daughter. You're publicly connected to him. So yeah, bitch, you fumbled hard, and you still hang out with him and his weird family to this day instead of your mom and sister. That shows where your fucking priorities are. On October 2nd, fashion magazine Mirror Mirror published a photo shoot and interview featuring Kelly. It was a small and relatively unknown Dutch magazine, but it was one of 2 big interviews she did that year. It should have been a moment to showcase her achievements, as limited as they are. Instead, it became yet another point of contention. The timing of the article couldn't have been more telling. It dropped on the same day as the Singapore Grand Prix. Why is that important? That was when Max had a chance to clinch his 2nd world championship. He didn't. Max finished 7th, and the championship celebrations were postponed. In the interview, Kelly claims to have signed with a quote-unquote renowned agency in June 2022. The agency in question, Meet Your Models, aka Talent Motherhood. It's a small agency that primarily operates in the Netherlands. Seriously, it only has 26k followers on Instagram as of this writing. Sure, renowned is certainly one way to describe it, but most people outside the Dutch modeling scene have probably never heard of it. By October, Kelly was 4 months into a contract with this prestigious agency. How many modeling projects did she do? 2. Not 2 big projects, not 2 plus extra, 2. It's hardly the career milestone she tries to present it as. In fact, the only 2 projects on Kelly's Meet Your Models portfolio, aside from the Vogue article we'll get to, are the ones she did before the Mirror Mirror interview. Talent Motherhood no longer exists, so sadly I can't get good quality posts on their projects. Not even its successor, 100% Connected, has them on their Instagram. But to ensure accuracy, I cross-reference the images with the ones on Meet Your Models. This article also describes her health coach career. You know, the one we established was an attempted hustle that didn't even last half a year before she quit. I'm not even kidding, here's what the article says.
Kelly Piquet graduated from New York's Marymount Manhattan College in 2011 with a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations and Affairs. She lives with Max Verstappen and her daughter from a previous relationship in Monaco and works as a health and wellness coach. She finds having her own career, interests, and passions very important.
Baby, cite your sources before posting bullshit like this, Mirror Mirror. Kelly also talks about her daughter, and here's where it gets downright insulting.
You always have to think about and work on yourself to be happy. Only then can I show happiness to my daughter and pass it on to her. Supporting Max and working on my own projects gives me extra power.
The article also claims her daughter is her #1 priority. So let's compare her words to her actions. In September 2022 alone, Kelly attended the Dutch Grand Prix on September 4th, the Italian Grand Prix on September 11th, that wedding where Kelly made the weird Instagram story on September 18th, the Milan Fashion Week on September 24th. I'll count the Singapore Grand Prix as well because this dropped as it was happening. That's 5 major events across multiple countries in under a month. And where was her daughter during all this? At home in Monaco. Maybe with Daniil, but if not, definitely with nannies. We already established they exist. This is laughable at best and disingenuous at worst. If Kelly's actions prove anything, it's that her priorities lie elsewhere. What are those priorities? Attending races, parties, and photo shoots while her daughter is left behind. Another gem from this interview comes from Kelly's claim that she wants to stick to the background.
I'm an introvert-extrovert person, you know? She explains, I love getting to know new people and would describe myself as confident, but sometimes certain events and situations can feel overwhelming. And I definitely prefer to stay in the background, especially when it's not about me.
Look, Kelly, I'm an introverted extrovert myself, You are not an introverted extrovert. You are an extroverted extrovert. And let me explain why. Countless photos and videos show Kelly front and center at major events. Take the Dutch Grand Prix, for example. Kelly was literally in the front row, standing next to Max as he celebrated his victory. Stayed in the background? Not even close. Hell, she used it as an opportunity to shoot Louis Vuitton. Stayed in the background of my ass. Let's not forget the actual photo shoot. Mirror went for a high fashion vibe, but the results were questionable. One photo in particular is a close-up of Kelly's face with an orb glowing from her mouth. It feels less elegant editorial and more random Instagram filter. At its core, the interview was an attempt to paint Kelly as a multifaceted professional. It tried to show her as a model, coach, mother, and partner. But when you strip away the glossy photos and empty words, what you're left with is an illusion. And like most illusions, it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. This isn't the first time Kelly's been caught misrepresenting herself, and it certainly won't be the last. But as we've seen time and time again, she doesn't seem to care. She says what she wants, does what she wants, and expects everyone to play along. But Mirror did not play along for very long. Not even a week later, the Mirror Instagram account unfollowed both Max and Kelly and restricted comments. It would later vanish altogether. Why? The world may never know. Or maybe they just wanted to distance themselves from this train wreck. Honestly, who could blame them? So we saw that the PKs are quite racist. But would you be surprised to learn they're also linked to Jair Bolsonaro? Yes, that Jair Bolsonaro, former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro. In 2022, Nelson Sr. donated 501,000 Brazilian real to Bolsonaro's re-election campaign. That made him the largest individual donor to the campaign. One must remember that Bolsonaro's presidency was defined by several things, mainly environmental destruction, human rights violations, and outright incompetence. He undermined minority groups. He made several homophobic and sexist statements in office. He mismanaged the COVID-19 pandemic so badly that Brazil had the second highest death toll in the world. Anyone associating with or supporting him should be seen as a massive, glaring red flag. Nelson Sr. is deeply embedded in Bolsonaro's world. According to some reports, Bolsonaro allegedly stored jewelry and other gifts on property owned by Nelson Sr. Yeah, the former president embroiled in scandal was keeping his presence at Nelson's place. Make of that what you will. He even served as Bolsonaro's chauffeur during a campaign event. Of course, when he lost the election later on, Nelson Sr. took it well, like any old right-wing nutjob would.
Vamos botar esse Lula, filha de uma puta, pra fora disso. É isso aí. Abraço. Brasil, acima de tudo. Deus, acima de todos. E o Lula lá no cemitério, filha de uma puta.
But it wasn't just Nelson Sr. on the Bolsonaro train. Kelly's full-blooded siblings got in on the fun. On September 28th, Kelly's younger sister publicly endorsed Bolsonaro on Instagram. Her post featured a Brazilian flag in the caption, "For a much better Brazil! Vote for Bolsonaro!" In December, after Bolsonaro lost the election, Nelson Jr. reposted a 2019 photo of himself and Nelson Sr. with Bolsonaro. He captioned it, "Brazil will soon realize the mistake it's making." He would also make subsequent posts praising Bolsonaro and his presidency. Even Kelly's mother posted in support of Bolsonaro, which is ironic considering the many times she posted things that criticize his American equivalent. But still, she made this weird post when Bolsonaro lost the election. She even talked about her discontent in an Instagram comment.
Maybe digging up dirt on Lula would be nice. Yep, the one that stole hundreds and hundreds of millions from Brazil, still sitting in foreign bank accounts. Thanks, BBC News.
But what about Kelly? Does she endorse Bolsonaro? Look at the title of this section, and now back to me. Of course she fucking does! On October 17, Kelly shared stories criticizing Lula da Silva, Bolsonaro's left-wing opponent. She also shared stories supporting Bolsonaro. Her stories included anti-Lula rhetoric and fear-mongering headlines.
The naughty thieving monkey, the most protected animal in Brazil.
My concern is that Brazil will follow the path of Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
All censorship is an attack on democracy, fundamental rights, and human dignity. On the one hand, it restricts a person's right to freely express their opinion. On the other, it restricts the right of other people to freely inform themselves. It is never an individual attack.
Relationship between Lula and Nicaragua director is well documented. Gazeta do Povo, pro-Bolsonaro newspaper.
But here's where it gets interesting. Kelly was heavily criticized by her own followers. They called her out for her privilege and ignorance. Some were so disgusted with her behavior that they flat out deactivated their accounts.
This is fast as fuck. Permanently deactivating my go-to Kelly account. I'm Brazilian, and I can't close my eyes to someone who makes statements in favor of the current government. Someone who doesn't live in Brazil. I wish Kelly the best and that she can politicize herself more and think outside her bubble of privileges.
Kelly, it's easy for you to support Bolsonaro when you live in Monaco with others paying your expenses. It's easy for you when your dad has already been accused of money laundering. It's easy for you that don't have to worry if you're going to wake up having food or a place to live. I understand you. I also have a good life. I live in another country with my dad paying my bills, my university. But I also understand the reality of those who don't have the same opportunities that I have. And it's for them that I fight. For months, I supported you and defended you. But this ends now, because I could never support someone who defends racism, fascism, misogyny, and pedophile words. Thank you for showing me who you really are.
Here are the key issues summed up. Kelly lives in Monaco, far removed from the struggles of everyday Brazilians. She doesn't have to worry about Bolsonaro's policies affecting her health, safety, or quality of life. It's easy for her to champion Bolsonaro's platform from her luxurious lifestyle. She can ignore the devastation he left behind. Oh, and by the way, this wasn't even Kelly's first brush with political controversy. At around the same time, an old Instagram post from 2014 resurfaced. In it, she viciously criticized then Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff, who's in the same party as Lula. She used rhetoric that mirrored far-right talking points. She even compared Rousseff to Hitler and Mussolini. I'm not even kidding.
Dilma, regardless of the results of the polls on Sunday, you already lost. The intellectual and producer class of this country hates you. They can't look at your face. You only have the vote of Halter, of the family allowance, of the bandit purse. Your story will be told like the story of Hitler, Mussolini, and so many others. The Brazilian producer and thinker will tell his children and grandchildren who is ashamed to have you as a president. You will be remembered as the scum of Brazilian politics. I'm ashamed of you.
Kelly Piquet, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I know the scandals involving Dilma, but still, why are you comparing her to two of history's most notorious fascists? And where was Max in all this? Silence. Crickets. Deafening, crickets-like silence. I know that because he's a driver, he's supposed to be politically neutral, but he still at least tried to distance himself from Nelson Sr.'s racism. Sure, he failed miserably, but he at least tried. Let's not forget, 1. Max actively associates with his family. 2. The Piquets benefit from Max's presence and platform. At what point does Max's silence become complicity? When you choose to surround yourself with people like the Piquets, you're sending a message. And that message is one of hatred and intolerance. That's what happens when you hang with people who back racists and far-right authoritarians. This isn't just about political differences. The Piquet support of Bolsonaro represents a broader pattern of entitlement and ignorance. It all points to a family that lives in an isolated bubble of privilege. They're completely disconnected from the realities faced by ordinary Brazilians, and while they continue to flaunt their wealth and influence, the rest of the world is judging them. We already talked about Abril, Kelly's fan who allegedly made the Oz hate accounts. But that's not the only big fan of hers that's engaged in problematic behavior. Enter, from stage left, Sarah. Sarah ran one of the largest fan accounts dedicated to Kelly, Kelly Piquet Source. At first glance, it's your standard celebrity fanfare. There are photos, updates, and praise for her problematic fave, but scratch the surface and the whole thing becomes deeply unsettling. Because Sarah wasn't just a superfan, she was messy. Really messy. Let's start with that Bolsonaro endorsement. Instead of joining the backlash, Sarah doubled down in her support of Kelly. She dismissed the criticisms. Sarah didn't just run a fan account. She acted like she owned the fandom. There are so many things she allegedly did policing other fans, gatekeeping access to private group chats, and spreading rumors. Sarah created a fandom environment that some described as toxic. After the Bolsonaro incident, some former Kelly fans revealed more about Sarah. They accused her of encouraging harassment of other accounts. Not only that, but also of fostering a culture where calling out Kelly was seen as a personal attack. One anti-Kelly account a former fan spilled to put it like this.
It's funny how earlier Stan was having a tantrum about calling Kelly out for grooming, but by your own admission, you were all teens and this very much sounds like grooming to bid her fights.
And the former fan concurred.
Definitely. I never fought her battles because sometimes I wouldn't even realize there were any since I wasn't in the big group. But again, my friend who was in the big group will tell me about what was going down. Sometimes she would write things like, I wake up thinking about what's next, how far they'll go. And everyone would be like, oh Kelly, tearful eye emojis, and do as she pleased.
Yes, kids, there was indeed a big group of Kelly fan accounts Kelly herself talked to. Allegedly, of course. We'll get to that in a second. Another former fan claimed that Sarah targeted them. How? By spreading false rumors to Kelly herself. Specifically, Sarah allegedly told Kelly they were behind hate accounts aimed at Jos. Fuck, not again! When confronted, Sarah did not take it well.
About like 2 days later, I received a message from Kelly that I'm not going to share because I made the mistake to tell her my personal account and I don't want to get sued or harassed. Saying that someone had told her that I was behind the account that was hating on Jos and harassing him, which is false. I had a conversation with Jos once and he was really sweet. I was surprised. So I have no reason to harass him. I told Kelly it was a lie, but she didn't believe me. I asked her who told her, and after a while, she finally said it had been Sarah. I don't know what I did to her that made her so angry with me, but she sure is crazy. I tried to confront her, but she blocked me when I did. I never got a response or anything, just a block.
On October 20th, Sarah's credibility took a nosedive when her real name was confirmed. Sarah had denied that her name was, well, Sarah. She insisted that people were spreading lies about her, but screenshots from her friends' birthday posts proved otherwise. Fans were quick to call her out. They pointed out the irony of her trying to clear Kelly's name while lying about her own identity. Despite all this, Sarah stayed loyal to Kelly like a knight sworn to a queen. On November 10th, she posted this bizarre, cringe-inducing declaration of love for her.
My account was already deleted by the time those screenshots came out and my friends didn't hear from it. I don't know if it was a smaller group or fake. I was never added to the group, but since my friend was there, I got to see some of the things she said. She will talk about him and sometimes even send pictures on Instagram, but those that you can only view once. According to my friend, she once said that sex was a bit boring, but I don't know if she said it as a joke or what.
Let's get one thing straight. This is a fan account. Kelly has no legitimate reason to have this level of involvement with Sarah's personal life. But here's Sarah, talking like Kelly's her guardian angel. Creepy? Abso-fucking-lutely. Here's where it gets even weirder. Rumors swirled that Kelly wasn't just aware of Sarah's activities, she was in contact with her. Multiple former fan accounts came forward claiming Kelly communicated with Sarah directly. For example, the one who said Sarah told Kelly they were behind a Jos hate account. Why would a 33-year-old woman have such a close relationship with a fan account admin? She's a public figure with a millionaire boyfriend. What does she gain by talking to a fan account? Clout? Ego strokes? Whatever it is, it's not normal behavior for a grown adult. And here's some context. Sarah was 17 going on 18 during all this. Those birthday posts proving her name, those were from her 18th birthday.
I had loved you since we were 18. Add Kelly Piquet and its source. The truth is that I had loved you since we were 17. But yes, let's start there. In the end of August 2021, I started this account because F1 became for me a real escape of the world. It was my little moment, and you were one of the first people to follow me. Happy birthday, Sarah. I'm sending you all my hugs, and I'm sending you all the love that is within my body right now. Those beautiful moments with you that you can guess. Hashtag happy birthday, hashtag best friend, hashtag Kelly Piquant, hashtag 18.
Sarah was a teenager, writing a fan page about a woman almost twice her age, and Kelly found it appropriate to engage with her. You know, Despite being a grown-ass woman? What was this for? But wait, it gets worse. Another fan account called Kelly P Daily Updates also claimed to have direct communication with Kelly. And this account's admin? She was 13 years old!
Have you ever got a chance to talk with Kelly?
Yes, I've had some little talks with her. This makes me feel thankful every day.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Let me spell this out. Kelly, a grown woman in her 30s, messaged a 13-year-old fan. Why? For what fucking purpose? I'll wait. Remember that infamous big group chat? The allegedly spoke to her fans directly? Well, former members revealed that Kelly would sometimes talk about Max and not just in a he's my boyfriend kind of way.
Also, can you verify the existence of one group chat that just another posted where Kelly said, I think he will propose soon. Is that how she talked to you guys? Giving intimate information about Max?
My sister in Catholic Jesus Christ, why would you share this? You're a grown woman! Why are you in group chats with teenage fan accounts spilling intimate details about your relationship? Be for fucking real. Think about the power dynamics at play here. You've got an adult public figure with millions of followers and actual PR resources. But what are you doing? Interacting with teenage fan accounts and acting like they're confidants. At best, Kelly's involvement with these fans is unprofessional. At worst, it's deeply inappropriate. Public figures do not engage with fan accounts to this degree. They don't DM 13-year-olds, they don't make teenage admins their confidants, and they certainly don't participate in gossip-filled group chats. By aligning herself with fans like Sarah, Kelly fostered an environment of blind loyalty, toxic behavior, and fractured communities. She's not just complicit, she's actively feeding it. At the end of 2022, the writing was on the wall. Sarah's credibility crumbled, her name was exposed, and the Kelly Piquet source account would eventually deactivate in January of 2023. This isn't just about Sarah. This is about Kelly and the kind of public figure she's chosen to be. One who thrives on manipulation, control, and bizarre relationships with her own fan base. It's not just embarrassing, it's fucking dangerous. On December 19, Kelly had her biggest break yet. She graced the cover of Vogue Nederland, modeling and giving an interview in it. She paints herself as an independent woman with a bunch of accomplishments. Sounds pretty aspirational, right? Well, that's where the problems start. First, let's talk about the magazine itself. Vogue Nederland does not have as nearly a big readership as its other regional variants. Yes, it's partly because the Netherlands isn't a big country to begin with, but it's also because it has its own popular women in fashion magazines. Vogue Nederland went bankrupt the year before Kelly's interview. It is so irrelevant, it doesn't even have an article on Dutch Wikipedia. Yeah, you heard me, it doesn't even have an article on Dutch Wikipedia! And let's talk about how this article is clearly paid for. For one, the shoot and interview were conducted in Brazil, not the Netherlands. Vogue Nederland, Brazil photo shoot. Make it make sense. The production crew was also small and mostly Brazilian, which isn't how you'd expect a non-pay article's production to go. All signs point to this being a vanity project disguised as a feature. Now for the interview itself. Kelly leans hard into this whole independent woman narrative. Here's one gem.
I remember dreaming about my own apartment when I was very little. How I would furnish it, how I would live. I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet as soon as possible.
But the statement stands in stark contrast to her undeniably privileged upbringing. As I said before, she was born to a multi-time F1 world champion. She grew up in Monaco in the south of France. She went to elite international and boarding schools. These are choices that aren't exactly available to the average person. This makes her self-made narrative ring hollow. Yes, independence is a worthy goal, but pretending she didn't benefit from her family's wealth and status feels disingenuous. We already talked about how the article bullshits Kelly's professional career. That includes the alleged desire to work for the United Nations. It also includes the Formula E stuff, which the article says she spent 3 years doing instead of 1.5, in case you forgot. Speaking of which, the article doesn't highlight any concrete career milestones. Instead, it emphasizes Kelly's lifestyle. It discusses the lavish Piquet estate in Brazil, trips to Grand Prix weekends, and so on. Her quote-unquote work is discussed as a mix of modeling, sponsored posts, and partnerships. While this is valid in the influencer landscape, it's hard to ignore the lack of substance in this article, especially since Kelly is, to put it bluntly, a nepo baby. She also talks about her relationship with Max. It includes the aforementioned magical night. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna rant about it again because this is so fucked up. What exactly about this night was so magical? Was it the undeniable age gap, the power dynamics at play? Or was it the fact that Max was still on the cusp of adulthood? You know, while you were a grown woman entrenched in the motorsport scene! You're framing this meeting in a whimsical romantic light, and it fucking sidesteps the obvious questions! As a result, Kelly and the article leave out some uncomfortable truths. But wait, it gets even more revealing. Kelly goes on to explain what exactly attracted her to Max. You know, apart from the obvious.
What I really like about Max is that he knows what he wants and he's not afraid to say it. He's self-assured and not interested in fame or material things. We have a lot in common. We're both vivants. I realize more and more how much he actually resembles my father.
Girl, did you just compare your boyfriend to Nelson Sr.? The same Nelson Sr. who called Lewis Hamilton a racial slur and said someone should assassinate Lula? That Nelson Sr.? That's not the flex you think it is. That's like saying, my boyfriend reminds me of my racist uncle, and expecting applause. No, absolutely the fuck not! But let's break this down a little further. I'll give her credit for saying Max isn't interested in fame or material things. He doesn't flaunt wealth in the same way many other public figures do. He doesn't walk around draped in designer labels. He's more of a drive fast, win races, go home kind of guy. Fair play to him. Here's where the hypocrisy kicks in. Kelly is the complete opposite. Kelly praises Max's humility and supposed disinterest in material things while building her public image around luxury and status. Her entire Vogue spread, a showcase of wealth. Her Instagram, a carefully curated highlight reel of luxury vacations and high-profile appearances. Even her modeling career, as small as it is, exists because of her proximity to the elite world of motorsport. Not to mention, she also calls herself and Max bon vivants. For those who don't know, a bon vivant is a person who devotes themselves to a sociable and luxurious lifestyle. So she praises Max for being self-assured and not interested in material things. Then she turns around and proudly declares that they both indulge in the finer things life has to offer. What the fuck? It's almost laughable how she doesn't see the contradiction. She wants to present Max as this grounded, humble figure, all the while she wants to present herself as his worldly, sophisticated partner. But the reality is that Kelly's entire identity is defined by fame, privilege, and luxury, and no amount of photo shoots or faux humility can hide the one thing that's true about her, that she's just another nepo baby clinging to the illusion of self-made success. But enough about what attracted her to Max. What does she say about their relationship?
I think we have a very healthy relationship. Easygoing, we understand each other and support each other. Max is always the first to say, "Go for it, I'm happy for you," when I talk to him about a possible job, and he's just as happy when I can be with him during race weekends. You would think the age difference would be a challenge, but so far, it's been really good.
First, Kelly describes the age gap as a quirky little detail instead of a glaring power imbalance. But again, to put it bluntly, she had the upper hand in life experience and status, and knowing exactly how to navigate the world Max was just starting to enter. Yet, instead of addressing this dynamic or even acknowledging the real implications of the age gap, Kelly brushes it off with a throwaway line about how, so far it's been really good. Good for who, Kelly? Yourself? Fuck it, I have even more to say. Let's not forget the context here. Max wasn't just any 18-year-old, he was an 18-year-old F1 driver with a rapidly rising star power, already loaded with talent and ambition. Combine that with Kelly's connections to motorsport and desire for successful men. When you do, the whole situation starts to feel far more calculated than Kelly or Vogue Nederland would have you believe. Fine, let's take her words at face value and assume their relationship is healthy and supportive. That still doesn't explain why this article spends so much time framing Kelly as the ultimate supportive girlfriend. You know, cheering on Max from the paddock and molding her career around his success. She even tries to spin this as empowerment.
Max is always the first to say, "Go for it, I'm happy for you," when I talked to him about a possible job.
Great, so Max is supportive. That's a good thing. But does anyone else notice how passive Kelly's career sounds in this statement? She doesn't say, when I land a job or when I'm pursuing a role. She says, when I talk to him about a possible job. That's not the language of someone who's thriving in their career. It's the language of someone whose professional life takes a backseat to their partner's success. And this ultimately is the crux of the problem with Kelly's Vogue interview. The entire thing is about Max, because of Max, or conveniently framed to elevate her connection to Max. Her identity, her success, her relevance, it's all tied to Max. Everything is overshadowed by the narrative of her being Max's girlfriend, even when she talks about her personal accomplishments. Kelly wants to be seen as an independent woman, but everything she does screams codependence. She wants to praise Max's humility while living a life defined by luxury. She wants us to focus on her accomplishments, but those accomplishments are inflated at best and non-existent at worst. The most laughable part is when Kelly claims to be environmentally conscious. Yeah, you read that right. Kelly Piquet wants us to believe she's an advocate for the planet. You know, despite dating an F1 driver and attending one of the most environmentally harmful sports on Earth.
I'm regularly asked to start my own fashion brand or something like that. I'm very environmentally conscious. I think sustainability is important.
For reference, a 2019 study revealed that F1 produces 256,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. The vast majority of that stems from logistics and team travel. And yes, F1 has tried to be more quote-unquote sustainable and environmentally friendly. But that greenwashing does little to offset the sport's massive environmental footprint. To call Kelly environmentally conscious while she frequently jet sets and goes to races around the world is lying! The article even admits that her environmentalism feels more like a trend, and that turns what could have been a meaningful claim into little more than empty fluff. So let's recap. 1. Kelly claims independence while flaunting the privileges of her extremely wealthy upbringing. 2. Kelly glosses over her questionable relationship timeline with Max. 3. Kelly's professional career is exaggerated and empty, focusing more on aesthetics. 4. Kelly glorifies her father despite his controversies. 5. Kelly describes her attraction to Max in ways that focus entirely on his career and success. And 6. Kelly claims to be environmentally conscious while doing nothing to back that up. And no, her asking Max to get her a smart car when she moved in with him does not count. This whole article was supposed to be Kelly's moment to shine, her big rebrand. Instead, it's a case study in delusion. The interview exposes how little self-awareness she has. Every claim is a contradiction. Every success is inflated. Every accomplishment feels like a stretch. It's like watching someone desperately try to pass off a C+ as an A. It's just sad. Of course, we have to end the year with what most likely caused Kelly to fall out of Victoria's favor. Even though a lot of this happened in 2023, it started in 2022, so I'm counting it here. On December 26, Max and Kelly jet off to St. Bart's, a Caribbean island, a playground for billionaires, celebrities, and billionaire celebrities alike. And they weren't alone in this adventure. Aside from Kelly's daughter, several more people would join the pair. Victoria, her partner Tom, their 2 sons, and some friends. All is set for a pleasant family vacation, right? Wrong! Just 2 days into the trip, photos of Max and Kelly hit the internet. Specifically, they were leaked by a pro-Kelly Tumblr user, Rating Max, and they show Max, Kelly, and the child freely frolicking in the fashionable seas. So these are just run-of-the-mill paparazzi photos, right? Well, you'd be wrong! Again! 2 wrongs in a row don't make a right, bitch! Let me give you some more context. Firstly, St. Bart's at this exact time was crawling with A-listers. Think Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, Chase Hudson, whoever that is. Few of them got photographed outside of official events. Second, look at where those photos were taken. See how the shore is visible at the top of the photo instead of the bottom? Someone took them from the sea, meaning from a boat. This was obviously planned. By contrast, Ethan Hawke and Amy Schumer were on the island at the same time. See, I told you, A-listers! It is clear from the photos they were caught by surprise. People quickly put 2 and 2 together. Kelly called the paparazzi on herself! Again! These photos were never publicly released. The only proof of their existence is from that fucking blog. Why? Allegedly! Kelly herself was not pleased with how she looked at some of these photos, specifically how she looked in her green swimsuit. And let's be real here. Yes, the swimsuit is ugly as fuck. We can agree on that. But there's more to this. The swimsuit didn't flatter her. Between the styling, the fit, and the lighting, it wasn't giving luxury influencer or Vogue cover star. It was given regular person on vacation. And that, dear viewers, is a problem for someone like Kelly. Remember, she carefully crafts every public appearance to ooze glamour. But now you might be wondering, how did Raining Max get those photos? Well, according to her...
Where did you get these?
I run the biggest Niall Horan update account, so I have access to the 1D Pat Black Market, lol.
What? What the fuck does that even mean? Someone asked for more details and got a non-answer.
Admin, please don't block me, but I can't help but asking, do you happen to know who took these photos, LOL? What do you mean, Pat Black Market?
As in, Paps took these. From a distance, you can see they're hiding behind something. But that doesn't mean Max or Kelly called them. This is the 1D conspiracy theory because they hate women.
No, Kelly absolutely called them. How else would she be able to not get these posted anywhere else? And how else could the Paps catch them from a fucking boat? Allegedly! Top it off, Raining Max didn't allow anyone else to repost the photos. She then went on a rant about being the only true fan or something. Also, Raining Max, that's not what black market means, and I know enough about the black market scene to know you probably fucking paid for them. If they truly were free, why didn't anyone else share them? And if you don't believe me, here are the reverse image search results for some of the pictures. But don't worry, dear viewer, later photos of the two on vacation did get released. The Daily Mail published pictures of her in a much better beige swimsuit. These photos were Kelly approved despite her obvious hair extensions. And let's take a moment to break down how staged these pictures were. Can you see Kelly instructing Max to kiss her? From this entire sequence, it feels less like candid moments and more like a choreographed display for the camera. In fact, several frames show Kelly's body language screaming performance. You can see it from how she positions her head for the perfect profile shot. And Max, well, he looks confused. Almost like he's reluctantly playing along with a scene he didn't agree to. Then there's the setting and the way these photos were taken. These photos are clearly from the water. They're at an angle that catches them mid-embrace, but conveniently avoids any unflattering lighting. It screams deliberate coordination. It's painfully obvious Kelly wanted to sell a narrative. The beige swimsuit, the hair extensions, the beachside PDA, it's all to keep the media's attention on her and Max rather than less controlled narratives. Well, not just a narrative benefiting her personally. Why? Take a look at the day this Daily Mail puff piece was published, January 9th, 2023. This is despite the photos supposedly being taken the Sunday before, aka the day before, but they couldn't have been. Max was probably back in Monaco by then. We know that because his personal trainer made an Instagram reel traveling for pre-season stuff. So, what was going on at that time that made Kelly need to get these photos out January 9th?
Chaos in Brazil, as thousands stormed the country's capital protesting October's election results. Supporters of far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro unwilling to accept his defeat to Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, otherwise known as Lula.
The attack on Brazilian Congress happened on January 8th, 2023. That's the same day Kelly was allegedly trying to get Max to kiss her for the cameras. And who do we know are big Bolsonaro supporters? The Piquets. Who said he wanted Bolsonaro's political opponent to get killed? Nelson Sr. This wasn't just a PR move. It was a calculated effort to redirect the narrative and ensure that Kelly's name was attached to staged PDA rather than the political turmoil. It's almost impressive in its audacity. You know, if it weren't so transparently manipulative. Oh, and it gets worse. Other tabloids who picked up the images would proceed to, I shit you not, body shame Max. Some of them focused on his supposed lack of a six-pack and his dad bod. For example, this Slovak tabloid article titled, "A Fat Verstappen Enjoyed Himself on the Beach. Kelly, Do Something With Him." and it goes downhill from there.
See Kelly's perfect curves and Max's imperfect ones in the photo gallery. Max didn't look like an athletic world champion on the beach. In early January, Max showed off the figure during the break between seasons. Well, he will have something to do.
Do people not understand how building muscle mass works? Because that's like a regular athlete's body. You don't need a shredded six-pack to endure G-forces at every race and maintain insane reaction times. But no, that doesn't matter. Instead, we have tabloids and internet randos acting like the man's career hinges on his appearance. It's insultive, reductive, and ignorant. And let's not pretend Kelly didn't play a part in this. After all, she likely greenlit this whole fiasco. She probably approved the release of the photos that threw Max under the bus. Her focus was clearly on managing her image, with little thought or concern for how this would impact Max. This brings us to a bigger issue: Kelly's obsession with controlling her public image at Max's expense. It's like she's playing chess with the media, but Max is the pawn. Whether it's body shaming from tabloids or using their relationship as a PR strategy, the man can't catch a break. And honestly, if Kelly cared about Max's well-being, would she really let this happen? Would she knowingly send the man she supposedly loves into this kind of media circus? You might be wondering, okay, how did this piss off Victoria? Let me put it this way. Would you be happy if the significant other of a friend or family member called the paparazzi on themselves while you were supposed to be on vacation? Especially if it's just for their benefit? Exactly. Victoria, Tom, and their kids were all part of this trip. Yet somehow, none of them appeared in the pop photos. Not a single candid family moment. It's almost as if Kelly made sure the spotlight was entirely on her and Max. Now, imagine you're Victoria. You've brought your kids and your partner along for what's supposed to be a relaxing vacation. Suddenly, you're caught up in a PR circus orchestrated by your brother's girlfriend. Instead of privacy, you're dealing with staged photo shoots and tabloids focusing solely on their relationship. It's a blatant disregard for everyone else involved. If this wasn't just some harmless little stunt, Victoria would have every right to feel frustrated or even betrayed. Anyone would. It's one thing to tolerate Kelly's usual bullshit back home. It's another to have them dragged into what should have been a private family moment. This episode might have taken Kelly out of Sophie's good graces too. People say Victoria has a lot to do with why Sophie doesn't necessarily like her. Yes, they still like Kelly's Instagram posts, but isn't it clear they're just keeping it sweet to avoid stirring up family drama? Let's be real. Kelly's obsession with controlling her narrative comes at a cost. By centering herself and Max in every situation, she's alienating his family. The cracks are showing, and no amount of Instagram likes can fix that. Wanted, Max Verstappen, hair blonde, lips scarlet, age 9,200 days, profession race car pilot. Where are you hiding, Max Verstappen? Why are you fleeing, my starman? I speak in a haze, I'm lost in your gaze, forever adrift in the racer's craze. Where are you riding, Max Verstappen? What make is the magic carpet? Is a cream cougar the present craze? And where are you parked, my carpet? Who is your hero, Max Verstappen? Still one of those blue-caped starmen? Oh, the balmy days and the palmy bays and the cars and the bars by Don Juan! I'll be honest. Originally, 2023 and 2024 were going to be covered in one section. I thought after the clusterfuck that was 2022, there was no way Kelly could keep that level of chaos going. But I was wrong. Oh boy, I was wrong. Let's dissect 2023. A couple of weeks after the St. Bart's disaster, Kelly Piquet was back at it again. This time, she was in the States for what was supposed to be a quote-unquote solo vacation. Spoiler alert, it wasn't solo and wasn't as private as she probably wanted us to believe. While Max and his family returned to Europe, Kelly jetted off to Miami. She graced the sands in a cream crochet swimsuit. Said swimsuit was likely pulled from a Pinterest board titled Boho Beach Goddess, but make it try hard. And then by some miraculous coincidence, paparazzi just happened to capture her mid-strut. They caught her phone in hand, like the embodiment of effortless chic. Except we all know there was nothing effortless about it. Let's rewind for a second to a full week before these Miami beach pics hit the tabloids. A kissy-face selfie of Kelly with two random men who were supposedly quote-unquote fans emerged. And yes, the pose is giving, help, this is physically painful energy, more than a natural, candid moment kind of energy. And here's the kicker, those fans, turns out they were just beach bros who lucked into a photo op with Kelly. Nope, they were linked to Pageboy Projects, her shiny new PR agency. Fast forward a week and guess what drops? The infamous tabloid articles complete with the quote-unquote paparazzi shots from Kelly's beach day.
Pick of the bunch, Max Verstappen studying girlfriend Kelly Piquet shows off amazing beach body in 15-pound Pretty Little Thing swimsuit.
Oh, and by the way, name dropping that swimsuit brand, totally intentional. At the time, Kelly was shilling for Pretty Little Thing like she shills for Aloe now. When you connect the dots, it becomes painfully obvious. This wasn't a paparazzi ambush, it was a PR production. The strategically angled photos, the conveniently timed article, it was all too perfect. Let's be real, the Miami escapade was not a private retreat. It was a carefully curated PR moment designed to keep her name in the headlines. Why else would you pose with the guy orchestrating your photo shoot like he's a long-lost friend, then turn around to drop a quote-unquote impromptu beach shoot just days later? And Kelly wasn't just working overtime to craft her influencer narrative, she was clocking in double shifts because nothing about this screamed relaxing getaway. It screamed, please someone write about me! Let's set the record straight. The title of this section is not a typo. BahrEin is the Portuguese spelling of Bahrain, Portuguese spelling having the E in it. And its use here is very intentional, just like it was when Kelly Piquet first wrote it. February 2023, Max headed to BahrEin for the annual pre-season F1 testing. As usual, the F1 world was abuzz, dissecting every frame of testing footage. But this time, Kelly and her daughter tagged along, and they weren't exactly flying under the radar. Max arrived on February 22nd for testing, but the internet buzz started 5 days later when a peculiar post surfaced on Tumblr.
Kelly and her child are in BahrEin with Max.
Now let's break this down. That spelling, BahrEin, with the E, it's not a typo or quirky autocorrect error. It's the Portuguese version of BahrEin, as we've established. And who do we know that speaks fluent Portuguese? That's right, Kelly herself. Fans quickly speculated that she had written this post, trying to quietly leak her involvement in Max's F1 world while pretending to be just another fan. But wait, there's more! In March, Kelly posted her BahrEin photo dump on Instagram. And guess what? She also wrote BahrEin, the Portuguese spelling, in her original caption before editing it to the English spelling. She may have hoped the correction would go unnoticed, but the internet never forgets. The edited tag on her post gives it all away. It might have been a footnote if this were any other F1 wag, but Kelly isn't just any wag. As we all know, she never misses a chance to remind the world of her proximity to the F1 spotlight. This isn't just about one word, it's about the pattern, the constant need to keep herself in the F1 narrative. On the surface, it's all family vibes and just here to support energy. But dig a little deeper, and it's clear there's always a PR strategy brewing behind the scenes. And remember, this was just the pre-season! If you thought Kelly's social media antics were confined to Instagram and strategically placed paparazzi, think again. Allow me to introduce GettyGate, a lesser-known chapter in Kelly's ongoing quest for clout. And yes, it's just as bizarre as it sounds. For those who aren't familiar, let me explain. Getty Images is a photo agency where photographers upload high-quality images for media outlets to use. It's not your run-of-the-mill Instagram feed. It's supposed to be for polished, professional content. And that's what makes this so weird. Somehow, some of Kelly's selfies, yes, her selfies, ended up on Getty. No, this wasn't a paparazzi shot or an event photo. It was one of her Instagram posts. It even had her name listed in the metadata as the photographer. Kelly, what were you hoping to achieve here? Were you trying to monetize your selfies? Flex to seem more official? Either way, this isn't the way to do it. Seriously, who the fuck would want these? Let's break this down. On one side, we have the original Instagram photo. It's polished, filtered, and cropped within an inch of its life. On the other side, we have the Getty version. It's raw, unfiltered, and frankly resembles the kind of photo I'd leave buried in my camera roll. So what's the point? Was Kelly trying to pass off her casual selfies as legitimate stock images? If so, the execution was less than flawless. And then things get even stranger. In May 2023, Kelly attended the Cannes Film Festival. One of the events she graced was the Better World Fund Gala at the Carlton Hotel. It was a fundraiser for Indigenous Brazilians, something Kelly likely thought would boost her credibility. The photos of Kelly arriving at this event also showed up on Getty, credited to an Arnold Cherokee. Sounds legit, right? Except Cherokee was busy covering another event at the same time, at the Hotel Martinez! So unless this man mastered the art of teleportation, there's no way he took these photos. Kelly wasn't the only person photographed at this supposedly legit event by Cherokee. A small handful of other attendees also made their way onto Getty. These included a smattering of influencers and minor public figures who, like Kelly, aren't exactly household names. And here's the kicker. These same influencers, their photos share the same strange inconsistencies. Only a select few people were photographed at this event, despite it being apparently a large fundraiser. And those photos were only of people in the same Instagram-heavy, staircase pose aesthetic. Almost like someone curated the list of who would quote-unquote appear on Getty. Even weirder, one of the influencers uploaded the photos without crediting the supposed photographer. That's a faux pas in the photography world. Who does that? So what gives? Why were only a few select influencers, Kelly included, featured? Why was the credited photographer apparently at 2 different locations simultaneously? And who the fuck took these photos? One possible culprit, Brazilian photographer Igor Blanco. He snapped Kelly pre-event and she later uploaded those pictures to Instagram. But here's the catch, Blanco isn't Getty accredited. So even if he took the staircase photos, they shouldn't have been eligible for Getty in the first place. This raises the distinct possibility that someone, likely Kelly, took creative liberties with how these photos were credited and distributed. Perhaps they thought slapping a Getty watermark on them would lend an air of credibility. Or maybe they hoped no one would dig deep enough to uncover these discrepancies. But of course, this is the internet, and digging deep is what fans and critics alike do best. The result, a confusing, convoluted mess that feels more like a bizarre attempt at self-promotion. GettyGate is a perfect microcosm of Kelly Piquet's public persona. It's an odd mixture of ambition, aesthetic obsession, and choices that keep her in the conversation. Choices that keep people talking, even if the conversation doesn't always go in her favor. Whether it's monetized selfies, mysterious photographers, or staircase photos that nobody asked for, one thing's for sure, Kelly knows how to keep us talking, even if she makes us scratch our heads in the process. Did you not think a PK would stoop to the low of serendipity again? Well, buckle up! Enter, from stage left and the depths of my ever-diminishing faith in humanity, Blue Purple Coconut! We'll just call her Coconut for simplicity's sake. Coconut had 0 posts, 0 followers, and an endless supply of devotion for the PKs. No solid evidence links this account to Kelly herself, but the behavior? Oh, the behavior screams otherwise. Maybe it's Kelly. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's just a random overzealous fan with far too much time on their hands. Let's unpack the drama. Coconut burst onto the scene with fiery defenses of Kelly and the entire PK clan. Her targets ranged from random Instagram partners to, of all people, Delara. You know, Max's ex from 2020? Nothing says, I'm totally normal, like dragging someone who's long since moved on into the discourse.
And to think we all thought Delara was a nice girl. We fell for her good girl facade and made us blind to the real Delara. I'm glad Kelly doesn't give her haters any attention and instead is enjoying her life. Keep up the good work. We need to see more.
Coconut wasn't content to just defend Kelly. Oh no. She also went all in on defending Nelson Piquet Sr. Remember those racist comments he made about Lewis Hamilton? She insisted he was misunderstood. This is even though a Brazilian court fined him for said remarks. Oh yeah, I forgot, he got fined in 2023 for those remarks. Ergo, why Coconut is talking about her hopes the fine ruling would be annulled, which, unfortunately, it was.
It can and will be annulled. Nelson is not racist. Some of you choose to hate on someone for not having the same liberal and idiotic opinions. It's not like he said something fake. Louis is always with his LGBTA weird things, so why do you get mad when he only comments about it?
Side note, did no one talk about the homophobic comments Senior also made in the interview? Because those weren't okay either.
Speaking of Nelson's defenders, Kelly's mother also jumped into the fray. Sylvia, the woman who allegedly peed on someone's bed while she was still with Nelson Sr. She claimed Senior's words were misinterpreted. She dismissed the backlash as ridiculous.
Not protecting anyone here, but I know one thing for sure. Nelson is absolutely not a racist. And if you would live here, you would know the word redacted has absolutely nothing to do with, holy shit, she actually typed out the N-word here. It's used between my friends. This is all becoming ridiculous. Also, he was a supporter of Bolsonaro, and they use that here to punish him. Have a nice day.
Oh, Sylvia. Where do we even start? First, you're Dutch. You have no Brazilian blood in you. How are you suddenly the authority on Brazilian cultural context? And while we're at it, dropping Bolsonaro's name as a defense? Really? What the fuck? But guess who came to her defense? Coconut!
You're a sad excuse of a human being. I hope one day you'll mature and look back to this moment. You're going to ask yourself why you were being so mean to innocent people.
I don't know how it's not obvious to you, but Sylvia is clearly the one that answered the comment. No one brought her up. She's the one that got involved in the convo. No one is obsessed with her.
She didn't say anything racist. She said that it doesn't mean that.
Then Coconut made a little misstep, an internet faux pas, so revealing it might have well come with a confession. While sparring with the late anti-Kelly account Max for Step on Me, Coconut let something slip.
You're seriously going after each member of the family, aren't you? Isn't it enough with having a blog dedicated to hate on Kelly the 24 hours of the day? Leave Mom alone. If you don't like the way she thinks, don't interact with her. Take the advices you give Kelly on the daily.
Lol, Mom.
Yes, you read that right. Mom. Coconut tried to cover their tracks faster than a cart knocking over a lamp. The comment was quickly deleted and reposted with Mom swapped for Sylvia.
Leave Sylvia alone. If you don't like the way she thinks, don't interact with her.
And if that wasn't desperate enough, Coconut then slid into Steppy's DMs, begging for the evidence to be erased, because nothing says totally unbiased fan account like referring to your own mother as Mom in a moment of rage, then frantically trying to rewrite history.
Delete your comments, please. I made a mistake and I don't want the Piquets to get more hate because of it.
So who was Coconut? An overzealous fan, a Piquet relative, or Kelly herself making a ham-fisted attempt at shaping public opinion? The internet may never know, but let's be honest, it was probably Kelly. What's clear though is that Coconut's antics only amplified the circus surrounding Kelly's name. Whether intentional or accidental, this episode perfectly encapsulates the never-ending drama that seems to follow the Piquets. And if it is Kelly, why didn't she choose a black cartoon character as her profile pic? That was totally intentional if she aimed to defend Nelson. It's giving, I can't be racist, I have black friends energy, but in the most transparent, cringeworthy way possible. Kelly Piquet, the queen of curated beach aesthetics, casually saving the world one swimsuit post at a time. Or so she'd like us to think. In July of 2023, Kelly teamed up with OPP Swim and Plastic Bank to save the planet. How? By diverting 100,000 plastic bottles from the ocean.
Plastic waste hurts us, our beautiful home, and our future generations. Growing up on the Côte d'Azur, I developed a deep appreciation for nature's beauty. That's why I have partnered up with @OpSwim and @Plastic Bank to keep 100,000 plastic bottles from entering the ocean. Help me make a bigger impact. For every like, comment, and share of this post until 20 August 2023, @OpSwim will donate to divert one plastic bottle from entering the ocean.
Admirable? Sure. Performative? Oh, absolutely. So performative that she couldn't last 24 hours without being a walking contradiction. The very next day, she was at a Louis Vuitton event on a yacht!
No one wastes time on Instagram, and Kelly's post was no exception. Critics flooded the comments, calling her out for decrying plastic waste while living the jet-setter lifestyle.
You know what else hurts our future generations? You taking your private jet and flying around the globe as you please.
It's always great fun to see rich people pretending to care about the environment while owning multiple cars and private jets and boats.
You talk about plastic, but what about the private jet you use every week?
This is extremely hypocritical. The amount of flights you take primarily private, and all the plastic from the gifts you receive, caring about the ocean doesn't require multiple swimsuit shots.
To her credit, let's give credit where it's due. OPP Swimsuits claims its swimwear is made of recycled plastic. A step in the right direction? Maybe, but recycling does not fix overproduction. Creating new clothing lines, even from recycled materials, feeds into fast fashion's destructive cycle. But of course, Kelly was quick to defend herself.
Very hypocritical. I'm sure this ad was paid.
Nope, to your disappointment, I did not get a dime for this. This is a cause I hold very close to my heart. I've been a recycling advocate since very young. My mom always recycled at home, and I'm teaching the same to my daughter.
Now, whether Kelly was paid for this doesn't matter. What does matter are the companies she partnered with: OPP Swimsuits and Plastic Bank. Let's start with OPP Swim. The brand proudly markets its swimsuits as being made from recycled plastic. Sounds eco-friendly, right? But as I said, producing recycled plastic clothing still feeds into overproduction. It doesn't magically absolve brands from their environmental impact. Adding fuel to the fire is Charles Shaker, the man behind OPP Swim. His resume includes tax disputes with the Canadian Revenue Agency and tales of extravagant excess.
Money manager for Ultra Rich has almost $5 million tax bill, but CRA can't get its hands on assets. Agency fails to seize Toronto cash, while London flat hides behind offshore company.
And here's the proof he owns the trademark for OPP Swimsuits. Just for kicks. And let's not forget, OPP Swimsuits is not registered with any major ethical clothing check website. It's not on Good On You, Ethical Consumer, or Fashion Checker. Now let's talk about Plastic Bank. Plastic Bank touts itself as the ocean's savior, with a mission to keep plastic out of the seas. Sounds noble, right? Well, let's break it down. Plastic Bank's secret weapon is the controversial plastic credit system. Here's how it works. Companies purchase credits to offset their plastic use. One credit equals a specific amount of collected plastic. Businesses slap plastic neutral in their marketing and call it a day. Critics argue that this system doesn't address the root problem: overproduction and over-reliance on single-use plastics. Instead of reducing their plastic output, companies essentially pay to look responsible without making substantial changes to their practices. It's a brilliant PR move, but a weak solution for the planet. Worse, the plastic credit market is largely unregulated, leaving room for inconsistencies and dubious claims. And Plastic Bank uses blockchain to quote-unquote ensure transparency in tracking plastic collection and transactions. While blockchain does provide a secure way to log data, it comes with a catch: high energy consumption. Promoting sustainability while relying on an energy-intensive system? The irony is palpable. And speaking of irony, let's talk about Kelly's role in this campaign, or, well, her lack thereof. Kelly never actually wore the swimwear outside of the campaigns. That's right. That's right. These same recycled plastic swimsuits never made it to her Instagram feed beyond the ads. And then there's her infamous closet purge. Earlier that year, Kelly proudly announced she was getting rid of over 200 items. Yeah, 200. Most people don't own 200 items, let alone have 200 to toss in one go. While she claimed many were donated, the sheer volume still screams fashion addiction, not sustainable living. But what's even more jaw-dropping is that Kelly featured her daughter in the campaign once again in a compromising position. This time, Kelly posted photos of her daughter in a bikini to promote the recycled swimwear line. Let me repeat that. Kelly used her own child in what essentially amounts to advertising. What part of this feels appropriate? Kelly's campaign supposedly saved 256,747 bottles from the ocean. But where are the receipts? Without third-party audits, these claims are about as solid as wet cardboard. Social media engagement may look impactful, but does it actually combat ocean pollution? Kelly Piquet's environmental crusade might look pretty on Instagram, but if you peel back the layers, it starts to feel like a house of recycled cards. August 2023 was a simpler time, a time paparazzi photos of Max and Kelly on vacation in Sardinia surfaced online. Let's not even pretend there's any debate over whether Kelly orchestrated these photos. She absolutely did. But what's more interesting is what came after. Allegedly! Kelly asked her fan accounts to delete the photos for quote-unquote privacy reasons.
Kelly has asked to delete the paparazzi pics. Please respect their privacy.
Yes, the same Kelly accused of calling the paparazzi is now pleading for privacy.
But let's not kid ourselves. This was not about protecting her private life. It was about damage control.
Paparazzi blitz started just days earlier when F1 started its summer break. That's when the Daily Mail posted an article about Max's private jet landing in Sardinia. As always, it was complete with flattering airport arrival shots. It all feels like part of a coordinated PR blitz. Kelly's pristine image at the airport fit the narrative of a couple jet-setting in style.
But then the facade cracked.
First came the more candid, well-lit shots on the Sardinia shores. This was supposed to be Kelly's moment. It was going to be the magazine-ready imagery that screamed, "Look at us, living the dream!" But leave it to Max to throw a wrench in the PR machine. Spotting the paparazzi from a distance, Max and Piquet, I did not sign up for this fashion, promptly put his shirt back on. He delivered the most passive-aggressive rejection of Kelly's meticulously planned beach parade.
So much so that she allegedly got Backgrid USA involved for a reshoot. For those blissfully unaware, Backgrid is the paparazzi agency of choice for any clout chaser trying to stage their way to tabloid glory. This wasn't just a casual if they had a situation. It had all the hallmarks of a do-over. Why settle for Max's shirt back on moment when you can dial up the drama with perfectly staged shots?
First, let's discuss the quality of these photos. They're not the carefully curated shots you would expect from someone as image-conscious as Kelly. They look like they were snapped by someone who moonlights as a private detective. They're grainy, poorly framed, and taken from a distance that screams, "I'm hiding in the bushes!" Kelly is caught in awkward poses. She's slouching against the railing. She's looking more invested in her phone than the view. One could almost capture her expressions as, "Do I look busy enough to avoid this conversation?" Max, meanwhile, seems more sunburned than serene, shirtless and visibly disengaged. The man looks like he's rethinking his life choices. It's like he's questioning everything from his sunscreen brand to why he left the air conditioning behind. It's not just awkward, it's downright tragicomic. For all the effort put into these photos, they don't showcase the enviable life Kelly likely envisioned. Instead, they reveal a stark contrast. Kelly's world of curated optics versus Max's world of begrudging tolerance. And if that's not a metaphor for this entire relationship, I don't know what is.
And then there's Kelly's alleged privacy request. Let's be honest, if these photos had captured her looking like a Greek goddess with Max staring adoringly at her, would we even be having this conversation? I doubt it. The sheer contradiction here is almost poetic. She may as well have added, "Delete these, but keep the flattering ones, thanks," to her deletion requests. Because while Kelly clings to her narrative of perfection, these photos capture a more honest reality. No amount of PR wizardry can erase a dynamic that feels as mismatched. No amount of PR wizardry can erase a dynamic that feels as mismatched as the sunburn on Max's shoulders. Late August 2023 marked the third annual Dutch Grand Prix. Max won, obviously, but the real story wasn't on the track. It was in a Dutch parenting magazine, where Kelly gave an absolutely hypocritical interview. On the surface, Kelly presented herself as the epitome of a doting mother and a busy career woman. But, as with most things Kelly says, the reality was just a little off-brand.
In her interview, Kelly declared herself an expert in child safety. She even proudly endorsed the Adora's T iSize car seat.
Information is crucial when it comes to the topic of child safety. I'm thrilled to have had the opportunity to share my experiences, because I've been on F1 circuits all my life. And of course, most importantly, my experiences as a mom.
Yet, receipts came in hot. Her daughter was photographed and videotaped in a car, unbuckled, and without a car seat.
Nothing says child safety advocate like ignoring the basics, huh? But don't worry, it gets better.
Kelly also gushed about how she prioritizes her family above all else.
Planning is essential, but you must also remember that not everything goes according to plan. My family always comes first, so when I feel my child needs me more than usual, I change my work schedule.
A heartwarming sentiment until you remember her travel itinerary between Miami, Florence, Capri, Sardinia, Paris, New York City, the list goes on. But Mr. Kelly's travel in 2023 wasn't even for work, it was for personal enjoyment.
Meanwhile, her daughter was likely left in the care of nannies. Max and Danielle were busy racing after all. Danielle spent 2023 on the World Endurance Championship grid. So much for the family always comes first mantra.
Kelly also lamented her intense schedule.
This year is very busy with travel, and it doesn't necessarily get any easier. It's important to take breaks in between and stay as organized as possible.
Yes, breaks are important, but a user-compiled list of her 2023 itinerary exposed the truth. Her work trips were largely vacations, which we already listed, because practically every fucking thing she does is either a vacation or a high-profile invite.
Kelly's travel time in 2023 by the time of the Dutch Grand Prix. 3 weeks in Sardinia, 1 week St. Tropez, weekend Florence wedding, 1 week St. Tropez, long weekend Capri bachelorette party, 1 week Brazil family wedding, 1 week New York, 1 week Miami before the GP, 1 week Miami after 2 weeks St. Bart's vacation, 1 week BahrEin.
That's not work, Kelly. That's vacationing with extra steps.
Perhaps the most laughable statement came near the end. That's when Kelly said she kept her child away from the track on purpose.
I haven't taken P to races yet. She hasn't asked for it yet, and I'd rather keep her away from photographers for now. If she asks, maybe one day I'll take her with me if it's not too busy.
A sweet sentiment, if not for the photo evidence to the contrary. She took the kid to races as a baby when she was still with Danielle. And let's not even get into how she repeatedly features her daughter on her own Instagram for clout. Kelly doesn't want photographers snapping her daughter, but she's perfectly fine monetizing her kid's image when it suits her narrative. From sponsored posts to strategically timed interviews, Kelly's no photographers rule vanishes the moment the clicks translate to cash.
Kelly's Zandvoort 2023 parenting saga was less about authenticity and more about optics. But hey, anything for views, right? Remember Pageboy Projects, the agency responsible for those January Miami pics that were totally not staged? Yeah, we're diving back into that saga.
Pageboy Projects is a relatively small talent agency with solid media connections. While its capabilities are considered robust, Kelly's decision to team up with them raised eyebrows. This move was,
but things got interesting in October when a Pageboy Projects employee took to Tumblr to spill the tea. Take this with a grain of salt, but it's juicy enough that we have to unpack it.
The source claimed Kelly's appeal to Pageboy was their media connections. According to them, the agency's strategy was simple. Use tabloid visibility to boost Kelly's profile. But there was a catch. Kelly needed to put in effort herself. And, well...
The agency can try to provide you with all you need and all you want, but you also need to do stuff on your own to get to the big places. That's why you only saw Kelly on Daily Mail or The Sun. She never did more or even tried to achieve more, but got mad that some people didn't want to write about her.
Ouch! If that wasn't bad enough, let's talk about Cosmopolitan USA. The source alleged Kelly's team pitched her as part of their coverage for a Clarence dinner in Austin. The pitch was turned down. Why? According to the source, some editors said they had better stories, others, brace yourselves, said they, quote, didn't know who she was.
Imagine pitching yourself to Cosmo and being told, sorry, who? That's gotta sting.
The source also claimed Pageboy advised Kelly to dial back on posting Max to create her own brand. You know, the guy who basically keeps her relevant. Predictably, this advice did not go as planned.
Pageboy advised her to stop posting Max, often to create her own brand. That's why we saw more of her child for a while, but then they realized that her engagement dropped a lot when Max wasn't in the picture.
It's giving influencer fail, isn't it?
And then there is Kelly's alleged attitude. According to the source, it was wearing thin on the Pageboy Projects team.
Speaking of Pageboy Projects, they're starting to get tired of Kelly because at least 3 people have left the team, me included, because of her attitude. One of the people running the company, won't disclose who, is tired of her as well. They already spoke to her about this matter, but nothing changed.
In other words, Kelly's relationship with her agency seemed to hit a wall. The recurring theme? A lack of initiative and a failure to leverage her high-profile connections effectively. Even with Max, Daniil, and the Piquet name in her Rolodex, she just couldn't make it work.
So what do we make of this? Whether the Tumblr tea is fact or fiction, one thing is clear. Kelly's PR game is as inconsistent as her career ambitions. Partnering with Pageboy Projects might have been a smart move on paper, but in execution, it seems like just another Kelly-sized misstep. Let's be real, Kelly's self-branding feels less like a strategy and more like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And nothing is sticking.
Hey, brief side note from future Flowergothic here. While I was editing this portion, I learned that while Pageboy Projects still follows Max on Instagram, they do not follow Kelly. Make of that what you will.
It wasn't enough for Kelly to be a hypocrite about her own child. She also had to allegedly ruin the gender reveal of another one.
In November, Victoria Verstappen announced she would be having a 3rd child with her partner, Tom.
One more to adore. Hashtag June 2024.
Classy, subtle, and leaving the baby's gender a mystery for a later reveal. Or so it seemed, because Kelly Piquet just couldn't resist spoiling it for everyone. Yes, folks, a pink bow, pink hearts. If there are any doubts about the baby's gender, Kelly erased them in one fell swoop.
Why is this a problem? Because, like them or not, gender reveals are often meaningful moments for families who choose to celebrate them. Victoria's post deliberately left the baby's gender ambiguous, likely saving it for a special announcement. But Kelly decided that moment was not worth waiting for.
But wait, it gets worse. Fast forward to June 2024, when Victoria posted an adorable announcement featuring the newborn. Congratulations poured in from family and friends. And Kelly, well, she added her own unique touch.
Can't wait to meet you, new baby.
Not a congratulations, not a welcome to the world, not even a basic acknowledgement of Victoria or Tom. Just a casual, can't wait to meet you, as if she were confirming her attendance for brunch.
And this, dear viewers, is peak Kelly Piquet. She manages to insert herself into moments that have absolutely nothing to do with her. Armed with emojis and a blatant disregard for boundaries, she expertly transforms someone else's joy into an accessory for her own relevance. Intentional or not, Kelly's actions speak volumes. She's not just stealing thunder, she's making it rain on someone else's parade. So, next time you see Kelly wielding a keyboard and a heart emoji, remember, no announcement, milestone, or moment is safe from her unsolicited commentary. The last Kelly controversy of 2023 comes to us from December. She and Max were in Brazil to attend Nelson Jr.'s wedding. For those unfamiliar with Western wedding traditions, the bride throws the bouquet to the crowd during the reception. Whoever catches it is supposed to be the next to get married. Nelson Jr.'s bride throws the bouquet, of course, and this happened.
Positioned herself front and center, but failed to catch the bouquet. Max seems to celebrate, to Kelly's chagrin. And this made tabloid headlines. People on the internet had a field day from it.
Verstappen celebrates Kelly Piquet not catching bridal bouquet and gets told off. Red Bull driver's reaction didn't impress his girlfriend during his brother-in-law's wedding in Brazil.
Max is not ready to marry. Verstappen and Kelly Piquet's future gets verdict from fans as moment from Nelson Jr.'s wedding goes viral.
Legend.
Bro sleeping on the couch tonight.
Now this is the wife and girlfriend news I like. The ending is so funny.
But you know who didn't find it funny? Kelly! She took the Instagram to voice her disdain with humorless precision.
Wow, very creative to put together 2 different clips and make up a story. Bravo.
Yes, Kelly came for the joke makers in the comments section. She claimed the clip was a manufactured narrative stitched together to humiliate her. While others laughed, Kelly doubled down. She had the self-awareness of someone who insists the party's over when everyone's still having fun.
Here's the thing. Whether the clips were edited, her response only added fuel to the fire. Social media users called her out for lacking a sense of humor. They tried to remind her that, in the grand scheme of things, this was harmless.
Kelly's comments seem to reflect her frustration with the internet's take, and it shows her inability to let the moment slide. Instead of leaning into the humor or ignoring it like a normal person, she gave her critics another reason to keep the jokes coming. But wait, it gets better. Reports say Kelly asked several Instagram fan accounts to delete the video, and shockingly they did. While the internet is forever, Kelly's attempt to scrub the moment clean was an interesting flex, to say the least.
The sheer irony, Kelly has spent years carefully curating her public image. She leans into attention when it suits her, but the minute she is not in control of the narrative, she crumbles faster than the bouquet she failed to catch.
You may jeer at me and threaten to clear the court, but until I am gagged and half-throttled, I will shout my poor truth. I insist the world know how much I loved my Max, this Max pale and polluted, and with another's child, but still blue-eyed, still sooty-lashed, still blonde and almond, still Don Juan, still mine. J'en devais, mon Don Juan, allons vers quelqu'un pour nous de ce clan Jamasa Place, Ohio, the wilds of Massachusetts. No matter, even if those eyes of his would fade to myopic fish, and his shoulders swell and crack, and his lovely young velvety delicate skin be tainted and torn, even then I would go mad with tenderness at the mere sight of your dear wan face, at the mere sound of your rancorous voice, my Max.
We are in the final stretch, my dears. The timeline is almost complete. Just one more year of scandals to cover. One more year of showing just how fucking problematic Kelly is. Let's begin. The saga of Kelly Piquet's hair, a tale as old as time, or at least as old as her Instagram partnerships. Enter the hair pills drama, because if there's one thing Kelly excels at, it's turning mundane personal details into an ad.
In January 2024, Kelly posted a story in response to a fan question about her hair routine. Except this quote-unquote fan question felt less organic and more like a setup for a promo.
How do you keep your hair healthy? It looks amazing!
I got COVID 3 times in total, and my hair suffered a great deal. Last year, I tried extensions for fun and had them in for only 3 months. When I took them out, I felt my hair lacked volume, shine, and strength. This photo is from September 2023, right after the extensions removal.
So what's a girl to do when her hair is falling flat? Literally! Apparently hawk hair pills on Instagram. Kelly implied these miracle supplements had restored her locks to their former glory. She offered no proof beyond her well-lit selfies and a story that just barely checked out.
But here's where things unravel. Much like her timeline, Kelly claimed she only wore extensions for 3 months, and that she took them out in September 2023. The problem? There's photo evidence of her rocking extensions as early as January 2023 during her infamous St. Bart's vacation. You know, the one where she coincidentally got popped with Max while on vacation with his family?
And while we're on the subject of timelines, can we talk about Kelly's bi-weekly professional washes? The math here just ain't mathin', folks.
If your hair is so fragile, why not focus on actual recovery instead of a supplement hustle? Oh wait, I forgot, it's Kelly. Turning personal struggles into brand opportunities is practically her job description.
So what have we learned? Kelly Piquet's hair drama is less about her locks and more about her knack for spinning everything into an Instagram narrative. And while the hair pills might have done something, the real magic here is her ability to rewrite history and hope no one's paying attention. Spoiler alert, we all are! If you followed Kelly for even a nanosecond, you know she has a knack for recycling. Not just those plastic swimsuits she shilled, but drama too. Enter History Repeats Itself, the latest installment in Kelly's ongoing saga of, well, being Kelly. Let's rewind to March 2024. The setting? Dubai. The event? Yet another meticulously staged paparazzi quote-unquote candid moment. Only this time, the absurdity reached new heights. Picture this. An empty gym. Kelly Piquet striding 2 meters ahead of a photographer. Their mission? Capture Kelly from the most flattering angle possible. It's given, we paid for this photo shoot, but forgot to book extras. But here's the kicker. Paparazzi in Dubai are literally against the law. Unauthorized photography in public spaces can lead to serious legal consequences. So this wasn't some coincidental run-in with the paps. This was a carefully planned shoot trying to pass as spontaneous. And yet, the cherry on top wasn't the empty gym or the painfully contrived nature of the photos. It was the sheer audacity of the tabloid headlines that followed.
Max Verstappen's model partner Kelly Piquet looks sensational in black and white gym kit as she makes a pit stop at Dubai Fitness Studio ahead of Formula One Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix.
Sensational? Sweetheart! This wasn't a pit stop, this was a gym-themed photo shoot in a location so devoid of life it could double as a dystopian film set. And as we know, this isn't Kelly's first rodeo with orchestrated exposure. Remember the St. Bart's Chronicles? Or the Miami Mirage? But what makes this round of deja vu extra spicy is the timing. Kelly pulled this off just as the F1 world was gearing up for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's almost as if she thought the gym shoot would cement her as this cheeky yet relatable partner of an F1 champ. Instead, it screamed, "I'm trying way too hard!" Oh, but we're not done yet. In March 2024, Kelly announced another spring cleaning. This time she partnered with a luxury resale platform to offload pieces from her wardrobe. Sounds good in theory, until you remember her previous purge in 2023, where she claimed to discard 200 items. Was this new round of decluttering just as massive? Hard to say, but here's the irony. Kelly frames these purges as steps towards sustainability, yet her love for overconsumption shines through. Kelly, donating or reselling doesn't solve the problem if you're buying faster than you're purging. Maybe less shopping and more reusing? The question isn't whether Kelly is guilty of everything she's accused of. It's why the same stories keep following her like a shadow, and more importantly, why she hasn't done more to extinguish the flames. Here's the thing, as long as there's fuel to the fire, Kelly will keep adding kindling. After all, a spectacle can't survive without an audience. Remember Natalie Sifferman, the woman whose ex-husband allegedly cheated on her with Kelly? Well, she first officially revealed that on TikTok. How? By commenting on a video from the late, the great POV Kelly Piquet account.
She's also an awful human being. I was married to an F1 driver and she got with him during. Also, completely destroyed one of my friend's career because of jealousy.
And this? It blew up. The former wife of an F1 driver confirming what people had suspected for years? Iconic. But Kelly wasn't about to take this lying down. On June 11th, she decided to address the rumors in an Instagram post.
A note from me and a gentle reminder to all. The online world can be a wonderful place for various reasons, but a very scary one when wrong information and lies are thrown around. I am unsure of the appropriate approach to address hate stemming from falsehoods. I have considered composing a response and letting it stand. For over 3 years, I've been navigating a very strange and upsetting wave of accusations, rumors, fabricated situations, fake testimonials, photoshopped screenshots, you name it. All the while staying silent and not playing into these ridiculous claims. Accusations made in the past months especially have taken on another level of defamation. Those who know me know that I would never put myself in such positions, say certain things, or act in such a way. I am far from perfect, but I do take pride in my values, morals, and manners. Let that be clear. As a human being, the comments and hate affect me and the people around me deeply. I hope this serves as a reminder for people to verify online content before making threats. I hope those of you who have contributed to this take a moment to reflect on the real-life consequences of spreading lies and engaging in hate. Remember, as James Clear says, every action we take is a vote for who we want to be. Let's choose to be better humans to ourselves and others.
Okay, correction. She did not address the allegations at all. Instead, she gave us a vague sermon on online hate and the importance of being better people. Nowhere in her post does she directly refute Natalie's claims. No mention of Jerome. No explanation for the accusations of jealousy-fueled career sabotage. Just buzzwords like fabricated situations and falsehoods with no evidence to back them up.
And as if that wasn't suspicious enough, accounts posting about the situation started disappearing, almost as if someone didn't want this narrative to gain traction.
Kelly, what the hell were you thinking? This post was pinned on your Instagram when I first learned about you. And guess what? It made me curious. So curious, in fact, that I dug deeper. And here we are now. All of your sins, laid out in near perfect chronological order. You're welcome.
Let's be clear, this isn't just about the Instagram post. It's about the pattern, the endless cycle of vague statements, curated narratives, and the prioritization. Take this post, for example. If Kelly truly cared about clearing her name, she could have denied the allegations outright. A single, well-worded rebuttal could have done the job. Instead, we got 9 slides of marble-backed better humans rhetoric. Why? Because when you have nothing concrete to say, you wrap it in motivational quotes and hope no one notices.
But Kelly, people did notice. They always do. The internet doesn't run on gloss and PR fluff. It runs on receipts. But wait, it gets weirder. Let's talk about the comment from Max's account. Yeah, you heard me right. Max's account, not Max himself. His account posted what was supposed to be a heartfelt, supportive comment. It read,
"This has to stop. These false accusations by certain individuals on Instagram and TikTok are insane and ridiculous at the same time. Hate has no place in this world. We know what's true within our family, and we are very happy together. I love you."
Heartwarming? Sure. Until you remember Max was busy fragging noobs on Discord while this was posted. I have no idea what any of that means, but apparently Call of Duty players will understand.
Kelly, did you really think no one would notice? That Max's public gaming session wouldn't clash with your attempt at damage control? The internet forgives a lot, but bad timing is not one of them. So the internet did what it does best, make memes of the situation.
This has to stop. These false accusations by certain individuals on Instagram and TikTok that Charles Leclerc is not my BF are insane and ridiculous at the same time. Hate has no place in this world. We know what's true within our family, and we are very happy together. I love you.
This has to stop. These false accusations by certain individuals on Instagram and TikTok that Esteban isn't a team player are insane and ridiculous at the same time. Hate has no place in this world. We know that's true within our family, and we are very happy together. I love you.
This has to stop. These false accusations by certain individuals on Instagram and TikTok that Carlos Sainz not driving safety car next year are ridiculous. Hate has no place in this world. We know what's true within our family. We are very happy together. I love you.
This has to stop. These false accusations by certain individuals on Instagram and TikTok are insane and ridiculous at the same time. Hate has no place in this world. We know what's true within our family, and we're very happy together. I love you.
Don't worry, they weren't all copy pastas.
Kelly Piquet showing up to the next Grand Prix as Max after sending herself supportive comments from his phone.
And honestly, this moment right here, this is your entire PR strategy in a nutshell. Contrived, disconnected, and held together by faux sincerity. Kelly, here's the truth. Your attempts to control the narrative have only made things worse. Every staged comment, disappearing post, and curated deflection has backfired spectacularly. The internet does not forget. You can delete posts and wipe accounts, but the screenshots and memes, they're eternal. And the more you try to erase the past, the more fascinating it becomes. So here we are, still asking the same questions. The controversies keep piling up, and the answers are still nowhere to be found. Yet again, we need to talk about Kelly's daughter. Because posting topless photos of her on the internet wasn't bad enough, Kelly had to up the ante by showing a blatant disregard for her child's safety.
Let's rewind to May 2024 during the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Kelly posted a video on Instagram of herself, Max, and her daughter enjoying a boat ride. Sounds harmless, right? Except her daughter was sitting at the very edge, at the back of the boat, without a life jacket.
Cue the justified concern from people in the comments.
Oh, wonderful! But everyone is without verts. Imagine if an accident happened, especially in relation to little redacted. Here's a tip for the next trip.
Kelly, you put a baby at the corner of the boat without a life jacket? My heart was dropped.
Next time, don't put pee in the edge of the boat, please. Accidents can happen so quickly.
Why is pee on the edge of the boat? Aren't you scared she's going to drown or something?
Of course. There were the usual defenders. Oh, the boat wasn't going that fast. Oh, the boat wasn't in the ocean. She was being supervised. Let's break this down. 1, they were in a speedboat. Yes, it was going fast. 2, boats are inherently unpredictable. One wave or sudden movement and disaster can strike. 3, water does not care if you're in a lake, a river, or the ocean. The risks are universal.
I grew up frequenting Southwest Louisiana and its waters. My dad, an ordinary guy mind you, always made my brother and I wear life jackets if we were out on a boat. Why? Because it's common sense. A child can slip, lose their balance, or hit their head, and in seconds, a fun day turns into a tragedy. Kelly, with all her resources, somehow misses these basics. But wait, there's more!
Fast forward to August 2024. While vacationing in Portugal, Kelly shared another video. This one showed Max wading into the ocean while her daughter swam nearby. Once again, no life jacket in sight. And this wasn't a calm lake. This was the ocean, currents, tides, waves, and all. Max himself visibly struggled to steady himself in the water. And Kelly? She was too busy filming to ensure her daughter's safety.
These aren't oops moments. These are dangerous, avoidable situations that any parent with a shred of common sense would have handled better. The fact that Kelly repeatedly prioritizes her Instagram aesthetic over her child's safety is infuriating. It's fucking infuriating. And the worst part? She hasn't addressed it. No apologies, no acknowledgement, nothing. It's like she thinks ignoring it will make it disappear.
Let's add another layer of irony to the saga. After the whole life jacket debacle, Max's social media accounts promoted the Princess Charlene of Monaco Foundation. That's a charity dedicated to, wait for it, water safety for children.
You can't make this up. Imagine promoting water safety while your own household blatantly disregards it. It would be almost funny if it weren't so tone deaf. Max, I get it. You're trying to do a good thing here, but maybe start by addressing the water safety concerns in your own family before posting about it online. Of course, that's assuming you even wrote the post in the first place, which, let's be real, is highly debatable. And let's take a minute to talk about your daughter's schooling. In September, Kelly made headlines again. This time it was for managing to contradict herself about her daughter's education. It started with this Instagram story.
A lot of DMs asking why I'm not at NYFW. And the short answer is, a very anxious little girl starts school today. And it was my utmost priority to stay with her during this very important time. There is nowhere I'd rather be than here with her. As a single parent, I can only rely on myself to make sure everything is prepared and organized. Giving P the emotional support, even if it means saying no to multiple paying jobs and trips, that's a sacrifice as a parent that needs to be made and will never think twice. There will always be another fashion week, but there will never be another very first day of school.
First of all, was Kelly even invited to New York Fashion Week? The guy who used to invite her doesn't even follow her on Instagram anymore.
Second, notice Kelly referring to herself as a single parent in this post. Max may have publicly stated he doesn't aim to act as her daughter's father. More on that later. But let's not forget her actual father, Daniel Kivat, is still involved in her life. He's still raising, still providing for his child, and most importantly, respecting her privacy. But here's where it gets wild. Just days after this first day of school post, Kelly was spotted in Paris with her daughter. One Instagram post gushed about the beautiful memories they made together. Shouldn't she have been helping her daughter adjust to school instead of whisking her off on yet another trip? And if the Paris trip wasn't bad enough, Kelly was in Milan the following week for Fashion Week. By the time her daughter should have been settling into her second week of school, Kelly was already off to Italy. How exactly does jetting off for Fashion Week provide emotional support to an anxious child? It doesn't!
And where were Daniil and Max during this time? Daniil was in Japan for a race, and Max was in Singapore for the Grand Prix. There's no indication that anyone else was present to support her daughter.
Let's not forget this. Kelly still has a transphobic Instagram post up as of this taping. Charlotte Tilbury, I know your brand promotes inclusivity and trans activism. Make of this what you will. September 30th, Max's 27th birthday. Kelly's quote-unquote sacrifices for her daughter take a backseat once again as she heads to Paris Fashion Week. And what exactly does Kelly do at these events aside from posing for pictures and tagging brands? It's hard to call it work. Meanwhile, where was her daughter? Back home? Alone? If this is supposed to be Kelly's era of prioritizing her daughter, it's not showing. Fast forward to October and things only get messier. Max and Kelly attend a wedding in Portugal before heading to Austin for the United States Grand Prix. Where was her daughter? Still in Monaco for school? Or dragged across the globe yet again? Kelly was unusually quiet about her daughter during this period, which only makes the situation more suspicious.
If Kelly was truly focused on her daughter's education, why disrupt her routine with constant travel? Or worse, why leave her behind with no support system in place?
October 25, Kelly posts from Miami with her daughter. Her daughter's school break started just 2 days earlier on October 23rd. The timing suggests Kelly might have brought her daughter to the United States Grand Prix and kept her hidden to avoid criticism. But as of now, there is no concrete evidence. The Brazilian Grand Prix rolled around on November 3rd, and Kelly's daughter was still with her in Brazil, on what appears to be an extended vacation. By this point, school had resumed, but Kelly showed no urgency in getting her daughter back to class. Instead, her posts highlighted carefree family moments. Max, Kelly, and their entourage didn't leave Brazil until November 7th, meaning her daughter likely missed at least several days of school. Was her education really a priority? Or was she just along for the ride while Kelly maintained appearances at events? And let's not forget the icing on the cake. Upon returning from Brazil, Max held a 23-hour charity stream. Guess who was awake at 2 a.m.? Yep, Kelly's daughter.
B, you're stealing my chocolates.
That's fighting words.
A school-aged child stayed up all night for a live stream isn't exactly the gold standard of responsible parenting. This timeline showcases a clear pattern. In September, Kelly claimed her daughter's first day of school was her top priority, yet she jetted off to Paris and Milan Fashion Week just days later. In October, her daughter's whereabouts during the United States Grand Prix remained ambiguous, suggesting she might have been uprooted from school to follow Kelly and Max. In November, her daughter appeared to miss school again, spending time in Brazil well after classes had resumed.
For someone who claims to sacrifice everything for her child, Kelly's actions suggest otherwise. Whether it's missing school, being dragged to adult events, or being overshadowed by her mother's curated Instagram narrative, the real sacrifices seem to be coming at her daughter's expense. And now we arrive at the Qatar Grand Prix, a weekend dripping in drama because Kelly Piquet knows no other way. At first, Kelly was noticeably absent. Instead, we were treated to some genuinely sweet photos of Max hanging out with his mom and sister. Yeah, you read that right. Max Verstappen, family man for once. It was rare and refreshing. No Kelly, no theatrics, just Max surrounded by people who genuinely care about him.
But wait, this wasn't an isolated moment. It came after a string of very notable absences. Case in point, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, where Max won the championship, a career-defining moment, and Kelly nowhere to be found. Instead, Max celebrated solo, soaking up the Vegas spotlight with his Red Bull crew and the people who had been there for him. No red carpet Kelly moment, no staged posts, just Max doing his thing without the drama. Sure, she spammed it on her Instagram stories later, but that's about it. Then, just when everyone thought the Kelly-less streak might stop, Max made a surprising detour. Instead of rushing back to Monaco or meeting up with Kelly, he stopped in the Netherlands to pick up his mom and sister for a trip to Qatar. This marked the first time Max took his family on a trip like this without Kelly in the picture. It was simple, genuine, and completely free of distractions. This was for Max and his family, not a curated photo op. On race day, December 1st, Max dominated the track as always. Meanwhile, Kelly was busy curating her own narrative, posting Instagram stories of her and her daughter shopping for Christmas decorations.
The timing? Suspiciously perfect. Kelly framed herself as far away from the Grand Prix chaos, having a wholesome mother-daughter day. But of course, she wasn't. Hours later, Kelly appeared in Qatar, front and center. During the post-race victory photos, Kelly positioned herself strategically for the cameras. Her entrance wasn't just dramatic, it was calculated. While Max's mom and sister exuded quiet dignity, Kelly seemed determined to make the moment about herself. Oh, and those heartwarming holiday stories? The internet didn't miss a beat. Turns out, Kelly's festive posts were taken days earlier on November 27th. She staged them to make it look like she was enjoying a cozy day at home when she was actually preparing to crash the Qatar celebrations. This begs the question, why the fuck did you have the smokescreen up? Why not just post, "On my way to support Max"? No one would have given a shit. Instead, Kelly concocted an entire false narrative to make her eventual appearance feel like an event. Was it to reclaim the spotlight? To distract from Max's genuine family moments with Sophie and Victoria? Or simply Kelly being Kelly, unable to resist crafting a picture-perfect story, no matter how fucking contrived? Post-race, the tension was palpable. Sophie and Victoria barely acknowledged Kelly. Their interactions minimal and frosty. While Kelly angled herself for the cameras, Sophie and Victoria stayed laser-focused on Max. It wasn't just subtle shade, it was a full-on freeze out. This wasn't just awkward, it was a soap opera playing out in real time. Max's family seems to be drawing a line in the sand, and Kelly's attempts to rewrite the narrative are falling apart. The cracks in her carefully curated facade are becoming impossible to ignore, and the world is watching. And it's only gonna get worse. You know why? Another child is coming into this absolute fucking mess. On December 6th, Max and Kelly announced they were expecting their first child together. Naturally, it came in the form of a highly curated Instagram post, a black and white photo shoot featuring coordinated outfits, soft aesthetics, and Kelly's bump front and center. The caption, perfectly saccharine.
Mini Verstappen Piquet on the way. We couldn't be happier with our little miracle.
Of course, the internet exploded. Fans flooded the comments, gushing about the next Verstappen racer. But I can't help but point out the timing. Conveniently, right before the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Max's reaction to this announcement was confusing. On one hand, he publicly thanked fans for their congratulations, even mentioning he's already kind of a bonus dad to Kelly's daughter. Sweet, right? Except remember, just last year, he was singing a very different tune about family. Are you excited to become a dad?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm already like kind of a bonus dad, so
I'm not the father. That's not the aim. It's always very important that Kelly's child has a good relationship with her own father, which she has.
And then there's the elephant in the room, Max's career. In the weeks leading up to the announcement, he'd been dropping hints about retiring early. But after the baby news, suddenly he's all in.
Now it is my DNA. Let's say it like that. But I think it is absolutely fine to continue racing, and I know the baby will be in good hands anyway. So for me, you focus on your family and then go back to your family.
It's a nice sentiment, but it raises more questions than it answers. How does Max plan to juggle the demands of an F1 career with a newborn at home? Max's behavior throughout the year doesn't exactly scream excited dad-to-be either. At the United States Grand Prix, after a sprint race victory, Max celebrated with his team. Kelly got a brief, awkward acknowledgement. Their victory kiss looked more staged than spontaneous, especially with Nelson Jr.'s wife conveniently filming in the background. A few weeks later, in Brazil, after a main race win, Max again prioritized his team over Kelly. The body language? Frostier than the paddock air conditioning. And here's the kicker. Jos revealed that Max told him about the baby during the Brazilian Grand Prix. That means Max and Kelly likely knew for months. Instead of building a family-first narrative, they dropped this announcement like a last-minute PR bombshell. Even after the announcement, the Verstappen family's silence was deafening. Sophie and Victoria, Max's mom and sister, have yet to publicly acknowledge Kelly's pregnancy aside from liking and commenting on the official announcement. Their decision to stay quiet speaks volumes about the tension simmering beneath the surface. This isn't just awkward anymore, it's a full-blown soap opera. The overly staged nature of the announcement, combined with the clear fractures within Max's inner circle, feels like the calm before the storm. It's about how Max and Kelly are positioning themselves in the public eye. The cracks in their curated facade are widening, and the world is paying attention. And speaking of which, there's another conspiracy I should talk about before we wrap things up. Let's first talk about how this pregnancy news was handled, or, well, mishandled. Remember, Jos was not informed until early November, during the Brazilian Grand Prix. What about Sophie and Victoria? Well, they didn't find out until Qatar, just like under a week before the official announcement. Think about that for a second. Why the secrecy? Why weren't Max's closest family members informed earlier if this was a planned pregnancy? And if it wasn't planned, what the fuck was happening behind the scenes? To make matters even more confusing, Victoria gave an interview in October in which she said this about the idea of Max having kids.
We don't talk about family planning much. He's mainly busy with the sport. He already has a stepdaughter, and that of course is wonderful. My children also get along very well with her. It will all work out when the time is right, when they are ready. He does a lot with Kelly's daughter, and you can just see that he really loves children. He's always there for her and knows how to keep her busy, despite his hectic life.
Translation? Max's head is still fully in the racing game, not on family planning. While it's sweet to hear Max is good with Kelly's daughter, this paints a picture of someone who wasn't actively preparing for fatherhood. So when exactly did Max himself find out about the pregnancy? And why weren't the people closest to him kept in the loop? This whole situation feels like it's been wrapped in secrecy, leaving us all asking, what the fuck is going on? Now, onto the conspiracy. Allegedly! Kelly couldn't resist spilling the beans about her pregnancy for the official December reveal. And no, I'm not talking about close friends or family. Oh no, Kelly went straight to the fans. Kelly's behavior during this period was anything but subtle. Cryptic Instagram stories, vague captions about new chapters and moving on. It all screamed, "Pay attention to me!" August 15th, 2024. Kelly drops a string of emo stories that would make a Tumblr teenager blush.
Look around you. Appreciate what you have. Nothing will be the same in a year. And when nobody wakes you up in the morning, and when nobody waits for you at night, and when you could do whatever you want, what do you call it? Freedom or loneliness? Charles Bukowski.
Freedom or loneliness? Girl, how about not oversharing for once? Naturally, the internet spiraled into theories. Breakup, big life change, a bid for relevance, maybe all three. Porque no los tres? August 18th, the second anniversary of that pool video. Kelly posts another cryptic story.
You can literally feel when it's time to move into your life's next chapter.
Cue the internet doing what it does best. Roasting her.
Place your bets now. Engagement, pregnancy, or breakup?
She probably just got bangs.
Then came August 26th. During the Dress Grand Prix, Max places second, ending his 3-year winning streak. Kelly shows up but says nothing about Max's performance. Instead, we get a candid view of their icy relationship. Oh, and she posts another cryptic Instagram story.
Life is like a party. You invite a bunch of people. Some leave early, some stay all night, some laugh with you, some laugh at you, and some come very late. But in the end, after the fun, some stay to help you clean up the mess. And most of the time, they're not even the ones who made the mess. These people are your true friends in life.
Was she shading Max, rebranding herself as introspective, working on her Lana Del Rey sequel? Whatever it was, Kelly's Instagram was serving less subtle hint and more neon billboard. By September 1st, Kelly really leaned into the melodrama with this caption.
End of an era. Today, Pluto re-enters Capricorn, where it will remain until November 19, 2024. Once it leaves in November, it won't return again for another 231 years. This is the end of an era and a major shift into a new paradigm. If you're feeling anxious or uncertain, that is the true nature of this time.
Right, Pluto, Capricorn, 231 years. Kelly, are we really supposed to believe that this is what's keeping you up at night? Not the swirling pregnancy rumors or whispers about your chaotic relationship timeline? Sure, Jan, fuck off. Let's not forget the context. She posted this on Monza, Sunday. Same weekend, Max had one of his worst races of the season. Even Sky Sports called it the end of an era. Coincidence? Or a calculated attempt to tie her narrative to Max's? By October, the pregnancy rumors were in full swing. 2 major anti-Kelly Tumblr accounts were mysteriously hacked and deleted. Meanwhile, Kelly wore a dress at a wedding in Portugal that practically screamed, "Yes, I'm pregnant, please speculate." If you're trying to downplay a major life event, maybe don't post luxury tile samples paired with vague captions about new beginnings. Fans latched onto the idea that Kelly wasn't just planning a renovation, she was subtly prepping for a baby.
November 11th, Kelly drops yet another spiritual glitter-covered proclamation about taking on 2025.
This is your sign that incredible things are on the horizon. You're in the right place and at the right time. Doors are opening and anything that fell up into the air is falling into place. You are attracting so many blessings into your life. It's only the beginning. As 2024 nears its ending, you're being prepared for amazing things in 2025.
Glittering words, a cosmic aesthetic, and promises of greatness. It was quintessential Kelly, a motivational quote machine wrapped in a marble background. But then came November 12th, and the irony hit a whole new level.
I heard someone say this, and it blew my mind. Buy land in secret, build the house in secret, then do the housewarming party with publicity. Date in secret, propose in private, then marry in front of a crowd. Let your haters only see your reality, never your vision, or you will have division. In a game of chess, you don't speak, you just act. The only time you ever speak when playing chess is to say checkmate. Life is like chess. Don't broadcast your intentions. Act quietly. Keep achieving. Your achievements are your checkmate.
I don't even know where to begin on how fucking hypocritical this is. Kelly Piquet, the woman whose entire brand is carefully curated chaos, posting a manifesto about keeping your moves private, about building in secret and not broadcasting your intentions. This is the same person who practically live streams her life via cryptic Instagram stories and dramatic captions, all but begging people to speculate about what's going on. Let's break this down. Date in secret, propose in private, then marry in front of a crowd. Kelly, you've been teasing every single one of these milestones with the subtlety of a reality TV trailer. You post about the next chapter and moving on as if you're writing a press release for your life. You drop horoscopes, inspirational quotes, and Pluto and Capricorn astrology like your followers are supposed to crack a code. And now you want us to believe you're all about living quietly? Fuck you! You never dated in secret. You never built the house in secret. It's all out in the open because that's exactly how you wanted it. Every cryptic post, every carefully staged Instagram story. None of it screams privacy. It screams, pay me attention. And for what? To keep the speculation alive. To keep the audience hooked. It's performative privacy. Plain and simple.
By December, the pregnancy rumors reached a fever pitch. Some even originated from a mysterious new account that surfaced that month, posted exclusively about the rumors. Sound familiar? Because it should! It was given serious serendipity flashbacks. Remember that time in 2020 when an anonymous account emerged out of nowhere to leak whispers about Kelly and Max dating right before they went public? Same playbook, different storyline. Coincidence? You already know the fucking answer to that! And the timing? Oh, chef's kiss, right as Max was wrapping up the season, right before the pregnancy would be announced, right as the entire F1 world was shouting his name from the rooftops. It's like someone, Kelly, wanted to steer the narrative for her benefit. Look, if this account wasn't an intentional plant, then I'll eat my hat. The vibe was just too familiar. Leak a rumor, build the buzz, and control the reaction. It's basically Serendipity 3, the second sequel, but louder and somehow even less subtle.
But why spend so much time on this? Because Kelly wanted all of this. Every cryptic Instagram story, every carefully crafted caption, they weren't about privacy or waiting for the right moment. They were her way of ensuring the world stopped and stared. Kelly doesn't just want attention. She craves it like it's this Kelly doesn't just want attention. She craves it like it's the secret ingredient to her morning smoothie. And don't get me wrong, being in the public eye kind of comes with the territory when you're dating one of the most famous athletes on the planet. But let's be real. There's a difference between existing under the spotlight and actively tilting the lamps toward yourself like you're the second coming of Jesus. And now that you know Kelly's game, you know how to not play it. Don't bite the bait. Don't dissect every cryptic post like it's a lost chapter of the Da Vinci Code. Don't let her turn your curiosity into her currency. Because every time you share those stories, every time you comment, OMG, what does this mean? You're just handing her exactly what she fucking wants, a captive audience. Kelly thrives on spectacle. She doesn't just play the game, she builds the board, sets the pieces, and invites you to watch her every move. But here's the twist. The game only works if you keep playing. So what happens when you put the board away? When you stop decoding her captions, ignore the artfully blurred hints, and leave the anonymous gossip accounts to scream into the void. Her spotlight dims. Without the crowd, the speculation, Her spotlight dims. Without the crowd, the speculation, the stories, and the endless swirl of gossip, there's nothing left to sustain the performance. And honestly, that might be the most satisfying checkmate of them all. Of course, this very video might break the fucking game for her too, but how would I know?
On those frosty mornings in rime-laced Quebec, a good priest worked on me with the finest tenderness and understanding. I'm infinitely obliged to him and the great institution he represented. Alas, I was unable to transcend the simple human fact that whatever spiritual solace I might find, whatever lithophanic eternities might be provided for me, nothing could make my Max forget the foul lust I had inflicted upon him, unless it could be proven to me as I am now today, with my heart and my beard and my putrefaction, that in the infinite run it does not matter a jot that a Dutch boy child named Max Verstappen had been deprived of his youth by a maniac. Unless this can be proven, and if it can, then life is a joke. I see nothing for the treatment of my misery but the melancholy and very local palliative of articulate art. To quote an old poet, the moral sense in mortals is the duty we have to pay on mortal sense of beauty.
Now, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to speculate on the nature of the pregnancy. I'm not going to talk about if I think it was planned, or if Max really wanted it, or whatnot. I know I talked about it on Tumblr to an extent, but I don't want to here. I've presented the evidence as is, and you can come to your own conclusions. But what I can do is talk about what this means for Max, and what it means for Kelly. Because, let's be real, this changes everything. A child isn't just a new chapter. It's a whole new fucking book. The kind of book with no draft, no edits, and absolutely no way to close it once it's opened. It's big enough to throw entire lives into disarray and shift priorities. It was even big enough to make me second guess when I should release this video, if at all.
Let's start with Kelly. She's hyper-present, she's hyper-visible, she's hyper-focused on making sure every moment of this pregnancy is out there for the world to see. From a gender reveal cake in front of a sponsored backdrop, allegedly, to posts dripping with manufactured emotion, it's clear Kelly knows how to capitalize on the moment. But here's the thing, none of this feels organic. It feels performative, calculated, like she's weaving herself further into Max's life, and let's not forget, she's done this before. Her track record as a mother to her current daughter has raised enough red flags to fill an entire paddock. She neglected basic safety measures. She pulled the child out of school for races. Kelly's parenting style leans more toward Instagram aesthetics than responsibility.
Now she's applying the same playbook to this pregnancy. Except this time, it's not just about her.
And Max is at the center of it all. For someone who's called private and focused, his behavior lately feels off. Interactions between Max and Kelly are not giving excited father to be. It's given resigned to the situation. Compare this to other couples announcing pregnancies. Typically, there's love, excitement, and a sense of unity. With Max and Kelly, it feels like two people going through the motions, not two people thrilled to be starting a family. Even his interviews are littered with apathy. Asked about birthdays and holidays, hell, even the baby. Max's responses are less joyful anticipation and more, well, these are just things you do. Is Christmas an important party for the Verstappens?
That depends. For me personally, not that much. But for Kelly, it is. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me. My birthday as well, for example. I actually don't care about it at all. If I don't say anything or don't depend on Kelly, there won't even be a dinner. I'd rather be at home, relaxed. It will be your birthday anyway.
But Christmas is a family celebration.
Yes, but somehow, I don't have much with planned things, that I have to do it. That you have to eat on the 24th or 25th, It almost feels like an obligation. And I don't have much to do with that, to be honest. I'd rather just go eat something spontaneously.
It's hard not to connect this threadbare enthusiasm to the broader picture of his life. Here's a man who thrives on the adrenaline of racing. He's utterly disengaged from everything outside of it. His personal life feels like a series of motions he's going through because he's expected to. Like he's checking off boxes on a list someone else wrote. This apathy bleeds into the image of his relationship with Kelly, too. For someone who's supposed to be building a life with her, the emotional disconnect is palpable. It's as if Max is coasting, letting Kelly take the reins while he retreats into the comfort of the track. And maybe that's exactly why she's been able to insert herself so seamlessly into his life. He's a man who avoids conflict and opts for the path of least resistance. And Kelly thrives in filling in the gaps he leaves. Max's apathy, his retreat into the one thing he loves, racing, and his disengagement from the rest of his life. The way Kelly steps in, steering everything else, the dynamic feels familiar. It's hard not to talk about them, Max and Kelly, without realizing I'm not just talking about them anymore. I'm talking about me, about my past, but something I know all too well, something I've been running from. I thought I could keep this separate. That I could analyze their choices, this dysfunction, their family, their apathy, without touching the parallels to my own life. But the more I dig into this, the more I feel I'm staring into a mirror. The way Max coasts, the way Kelly takes over, the way everything feels so performative and hollow. It's all too familiar. It's the same script, just with different actors. I didn't want to talk about this. I didn't want to go here. How do I not? How do I look at their story without acknowledging my own? After all was said and done, I finally realized why I was so invested in this toxic couple. Every time I see Max and Kelly, every photo, video, story, or whatnot, I see myself. I see the mistakes I made when I was a younger adult. When an older woman calls you desirable at 18, it does things to you. You're flattered. You feel beautiful. Feel more adult than you actually are. And when you're 18, you're just figuring everything out. You're technically an adult, but you don't have the life experiences that make you, well, an adult. Such was the case when I met my Kelly. I've said her name before. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. I don't care if she tries to go after me for this. I don't care if she lies about the circumstances of our relationship again. I'm done tiptoeing around one of the worst periods of my life. Her name was Amanda. She was 21 when I was 18, and she was somewhat of a star in the Queen fandom. She had met its guitarist BahrEin Maye a few times and was followed by him on Instagram and Twitter. She quickly struck up a connection with me, a connection that almost immediately became sexual. Very sexual at that. Within 2 months, we were dating, and, well, like Max, I was still freshly an adult when this all happened. I was living on my own for the first time and still somewhat dependent on my parents for things I didn't understand. Amanda took that to mean that my parents were outright toxic, which they are not. They have their flaws, but they're people, and I've long forgiven them in my heart. She isolated me from my friends and family, leaving me only to interact with her friends and her family. I started to adopt her values. I made excuses for her bizarre behavior, including her sexual attraction to BahrEin Maye. No, I am not kidding. This is not a joke, this is not a bit. She wrote a whole trilogy about herself and her character and BahrEin Maye traversing the depths of hell. There's a scene where BahrEin has sex with her. The consent is dubious at best. It's chapter 8 of part 3. Normally I wouldn't bring that up. She was 18 when she wrote that, and everyone has their cringe phase after all. But when I was dating her 3 years later, she told me something that I should have perceived as a major red flag. She believed she had this past life with Madeline Maye, where she was his protege, adoptive daughter? The details are fuzzy now. But she definitely believed this when I was around, and because I loved her, I played along. I even gave myself a past life in her world to keep the peace. And like Kelly, she would use disagreements she had with my parents against me. They worried I was being financially exploited by her and her family, and this is how she took one such instance. A couple things wrong with this. My mom did not want me to go to college overseas. She just suggested I spend a semester or two abroad. The trip to Kansas is to visit family, and it's something we did for years and years. And again, my parents were hesitant to pay for her things because they feared I was being exploited by her. Much like how the Piquets exploit Max. Obviously, Kelly and Amanda are different people. Amanda is more direct in her methods, while Kelly is more subtle. Amanda relies more on overt guilt, while Kelly focuses more on dependency. Amanda is emotionally needy, while Kelly needs emotional control. Personality-wise, Kelly and Amanda would probably not be friends in real life. But there are also similarities in their behavior. They both have a fear of abandonment. They both exhibit toxic behaviors in their relationships. Those behaviors are rooted in emotional insecurity and a desire for control. They have a shared need for emotional intensity. That need drives them to create dependency and isolation. In turn, that caused two unhealthy, unbalanced relationship dynamics. So why did I stay? Why is Max staying? Loyalty, hope for personal growth, and a strong commitment to stability and harmony. I see him as someone who wants that stability, like me. He seems to be someone who also thinks at some point we'll be on equal footing with our partners. When I look at Max and Kelly, I see a reflection on myself. I see the slow but sure attempts to isolate me from my family. I see my parents trying to make sense of what I was feeling despite their rightful fears I was being used. I see the pain. I see the efforts to numb myself, to convince myself everything was okay. I see her begging me to be in contact with her as often as possible despite me being busy with school. I see the email where she called me the love of her life just months after we started dating. I see her joking that she was gonna turn me into a lesbian because I was openly bisexual and she was gay. I see my parents trying to get along with her even though they weren't 100% fond of her. I see the heartbreak I inadvertently caused my family to experience because I was just in so fucking deep. I see myself at 18, thinking I knew everything and that there was no way I could be used. Everything became centered around her needs. It was about her insecurities and her endless assurances that our connection was irreplaceable. I excused things that felt wrong. I buried the nagging feeling that I was trading parts of myself away. I brushed away the fact the relationship was stretching me to a breaking point. I was convinced this was what love was supposed to look like. That love was overwhelming, consuming, and leaving no room for anything or anyone else. And I see Max, annoyingly stuck in that same quiet desperation. Maybe he has the same rationalizations in his mind. Maybe he feels the same struggle to silence the doubts about his own reality. I hate to say this, and I know this is going to break the hearts of the more sensitive Max fans, but it needs to be said. You can't save him. You can't magically get him out of his shitty relationship. There is nothing, absolutely nothing any of us can do about it. As much as you would want to do something, we don't know them personally. And who knows? I could have been talking out of my ass the entire time. They could be happy together. I highly doubt it considering, well, everything I just said. But it's still a possibility. All we can do is sit and watch. All we can do is watch this Dutch Tallahassee take its toll. All we can do is hope and pray that Max will one day see the light and get the fuck out of there. And I'll admit it, I'm a cynic at heart. I don't think he'll be getting out anytime soon. But I still have that glimmer of hope, that small fucking chance he'll be able to escape. And when he does, I hope he picks up the pieces and unravels all the terrible things he's had to go through. I hope he finds the strength to rebuild his life and discover what it means to be truly free. I would now like to take some time to address Max and Kelly directly. I don't know if they'll ever watch this video. I don't care at this point if they ever do, but I need to get some things off my chest. We will start with Max. Max, I hope wherever you are taking this moment to breathe. Take a breath now if you haven't. To quote one song that has consistently been in my life for over a decade, there are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I'll do the best I can, though. You grew up fast. Too fast. Your early life at times sounds more like a relentless training camp than a childhood. Your dad pushed you hard. And I know it's complicated. You sitting there thinking back on those years, a father who dreamed of the kind of racing legacy that he would end up demanding from you. But his methods of reaching that goal were not okay. He left you stranded at a gas station after you lost a race. He pushed you so hard that tears were part of the routine. Hell, I'm sure there are worse things neither you nor he has revealed to the press. That isn't toughness, that's trauma. And yes, years later, you are one of the greatest on track, but at what cost? What cost? I know what it's like to feel that pressure, Max. I put a lot of it on myself, but the after effects are still there. Like you, I'm a perfectionist. Like you, I get really serious about the things I care for. Hell, I was a prodigy too. An academic prodigy, but still, I have my demons from the pressure I faced growing up. I had a parent who threatened to kick me out of the house when I was 12 because of a mistake I made. I was yelled at by a parent because they knew I could do better at what I was doing. Just like you. What you faced, Max, is 10 times the pressure and pain I endured. Probably even more. And I've long since made peace with what I went through. But when I look at you, I can't help but see a reflection of myself. You're a powerhouse now. Respected and feared on the track. But I wonder if you ever feel like you're still that kid desperately trying to earn his father's approval. The relentless drive, the competitive edge, it all makes sense. And yet, looking at your relationship with Kelly, I see echoes of that same struggle with your father. Kelly brings her own baggage, and it's massive. The family controversies, the constant social media scrutiny, the whispers about her loyalty. It's as if she's wrapped you in her chaos. And now with a child on the way, I can't help but ask, does some part of you think that enduring this chaos like you did with your father will somehow lead to love and stability? This isn't what you deserve, Max. This isn't love. It's an obligation. One that keeps you walking on eggshells, trying to meet expectations that constantly shift beneath you. You deserve the stability you were never given. And this is not how you get it. I'm not saying you're perfect, Max. You've made mistakes in the past. Let's not forget your girlfriend's racist father joined you at the paddock just last year for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Whether that was your idea to begin with doesn't matter. It should not have happened on your watch. And I'll be frank, Max, the Piquet family is not good for you. They're not good for anyone. They're like a storm that never quite clears, lingering and casting shadows over everything they touch. You may think you can weather it, but storms like this don't change. These storms wear you down over time. Just like the storm I thought I could weather when I was with Amanda. Let's not forget why people called you out when Nelson Sr. was with you in the paddock. He's a man who has lived his life unfiltered, unbound by responsibility for his words and actions, even if they hurt those around him. He's openly disparaged others in ways that reflect a deep-seated arrogance, and he's shown no remorse for it. He's set a precedent of brushing off responsibility and sidestepping consequences. And that ripples down to his children. Kelly herself isn't immune to this. Her public image often feels like an act, one curated to projected air of sophistication. But it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. She's been connected to controversy, and while everyone has a past, her history seems to have patterns that only serve to drag people into turmoil, and she doesn't shy away from leaning into that chaos, as if she thrives on the drama rather than genuinely seeking something stable. You might think you're different or that you can handle it, but no one is immune to being chipped away by a constant cycle of unrest and manipulation. Look what happened to you. Look what happened to us. You've already endured so much in your life, Max. You've fought battles that most people can't even imagine. You've proven yourself over and over again. But now it's time to fight for yourself. Not on the track, not for a championship, but for your happiness, your peace, and your future. You deserve to be with people who bring light into your life, Max, not shadows. You deserve a love that builds you up, not one that constantly weighs you down. And most of all, you deserve to create a life for yourself and your child that's free from the chaos and manipulation that has followed you for so long. So please, take a moment, breathe, reflect, and remember, choosing to prioritize yourself is not selfish. It's the most selfless thing you can do for the people who truly matter, your future child, and most of all, you. You deserve this, Max. You deserve this. You always have. And now I will address Kelly. Kelly, you are a terrible human being. You are a racist, xenophobic, problematic clown. You exploit your child on the internet for clout, yet you seem to actively isolate your boyfriend from his family. You're in your mid-30s and you act like an 18-year-old girl playing dress-up in the adult world. It's astonishing how you've managed to maintain this facade for so long. You present yourself as some globe-trotting model and influential figure, but let's not kid ourselves. At the end of the day, you are who you are because of your last name, the daughter of a former race car driver who disgraced himself so badly that he was banned from the paddock. That's your legacy, and rather than trying to rise above it, you've decided to emulate it. And let's talk about your daughter. You strip away her privacy for the sake of content. Have you ever thought about the long-term impact this will have on her? The internet doesn't forget, Kelly. Every moment you overshare, every intimate detail you broadcast, every staged photo you post, it's all out there forever. The scars of growing up with a mother who turned her childhood into a social media spectacle will follow her for the rest of her life. You're not protecting her, you're exploiting her. And then there's Max. You exploit him just as much, using his presence in your life as another prop in your endless performance. Let's not overlook the fact that you were 27 and he was just 18 when you allegedly met. He might have been even younger, considering how intertwined your families are. And then, a few years later, you got together. This is not just a toxic relationship. It's a deeply disturbing dynamic. You knew exactly what you were doing, Kelly. You targeted someone younger, someone who'd spent his life in a high-pressure environment, and you manipulated your way into his life. And now you're having a child with him. His first, your second, a new chapter in this story you've authored. Do you really think this child will magically fix the dysfunction you've created? That somehow having another child will gloss over the deeply manipulative foundation of your relationship with Max? Because it won't. It will only tether him further into your chaos, leaving him with even fewer ways to escape. You had potential, Kelly. You could have been more than this. You could have built a life of meaning and integrity. Instead, you've chosen to embody the worst aspects of your father's upbringing. You've defended your father's racism. You've lashed out at Max's fans, the very people who support his career. You've cultivated a toxic network of followers who attack anyone who so much as questions you. That's not influence, Kelly. That's a cult of personality built on manipulation and lies, with nothing real or substantive to show for it. And yet, you double down. Every choice you make reinforces the worst parts of yourself. You've turned your life into a series of PR stunts carefully curated to paint yourself as someone important. But strip away the filters, the staged photos, the glamorous captions. What's left, Kelly? Beyond the facade, what do you actually offer? What are you contributing to the world, to your children, anyone? This isn't just about the lies, the controversies, or the social media circus. It's about the fact that your choices have built a legacy of harm, mistrust, and exploitation. You're not creating anything meaningful or lasting, Kelly. You're leaving behind a trail of broken relationships, public resentment, and children who will one day have to grapple with the fallout of your decisions. It's not too late. If you have any capacity for self-reflection, start using it now. Be a real mother to your children. Stop using them as accessories for your online persona. Start that nonprofit you claimed you build in your pay-for Vogue interview. Do something real. Practice what you preach. Stop endorsing cheaply made athleisure brands just because they're paying you. Step off that imaginary pedestal you've created for yourself and go make a genuine contribution to the world. Because here's the truth, Kelly. No number of followers, no amount of fame, and no carefully crafted image will ever fill the emptiness of a life spent pretending. The clock is ticking. You can choose to change, to grow, to become someone your children can truly admire. Or you can keep clinging to the facade until it all crumbles around you. The choice is yours. Honestly, what else is there to say here? Like, seriously, this entire saga has been a hurricane of chaos. No, scratch that. It's Chernobyl, with a TikTok account. The red flags aren't just bright. They're blinding, they're neon, they're accompanied by air raid sirens and Kelly Piquet's Instagram stories. What we've unraveled in this journey is not just a story of dysfunction. It's an expose on generational toxicity in 4K. We saw Jos Verstappen's chokehold on Max's childhood. We saw Kelly's transformation of their relationship into a public spectacle. And we saw Max himself perpetually trapped in a loop of defaulting to autopilot. It's like a spiderweb made of lies, manipulation, and ego. Each thread connects to another in a never-ending cycle of what the actual fuck. If there's one thing this entire saga has laid bare, it's how uneven the balance of power in their relationship is. Kelly's legacy so far has been meticulously crafted to place herself in the center of Max's world. But Max, he's the guy who thrives on speed and control on the track, yet seems utterly adrift in his personal life. And that's the problem. Kelly hasn't just stepped into the gaps in Max's life, she engineered those gaps, filling them with herself. And it's to the point where Max has no space left to question, to push back, to even think about what he actually wants. This isn't a partnership. This is control masquerading as care. From the beginning, Kelly's been playing the long game. She's been grooming Max to see her not just as a partner, but as an essential part of his world. And Max, shaped by years of Jos's iron grip, has been conditioned to accept control as love. That's the cycle he's trapped in, the one that keeps repeating. First with Jos, now with Kelly. But here's the kicker. This isn't about Max and Kelly anymore. It's about the environment they're creating. It's about how unresolved trauma begets unresolved trauma. It's how control masquerades as love, and it's how fame has a way of distorting everything it touches. Max grew up in a pressure cooker, conditioned to accept control as a form of care. Now, he's in a relationship that feels familiar. And now, there's a baby on the way. Max Verstappen is now staring down the barrel of fatherhood. The man who could barely define his own independence is now tasked with shaping someone else's life. It's not just a twist in the story. It's the beginning of a sequel none of us asked for, but all of us will watch unfold. For Kelly, it's the ultimate power play. A child with Max guarantees her a permanent seat at the F1 table. Whether things work out between them or not, her name and her legacy are cemented. She's secured her connection to the Verstappen dynasty. It's a move that screams endgame, but whispers desperation. And let me be clear, this is not the fairy tale ending they think it is. A baby doesn't fix a broken foundation. It only adds more weight to it. It forces people to face cracks they've spent years ignoring. Babies don't complete families. They amplify everything that's already there. The power struggles, the jealousy, the unresolved issues. Max has spent his whole life being controlled. And now, whether he realizes it or not, the child ties him even tighter to it all. So, what happens next? That depends on them. On whether Max can wake up to the reality of his situation and take back control of his life. On whether Kelly can let go and actually share the responsibility. But here's the truth. If they don't change, the patterns will continue. And Kelly, she has to stop orchestrating Max's life like it's her personal brand campaign.
She spent years pulling the strings, years embedding herself into every aspect of his world until she's not just part of it, she is it! That's not partnership. Again, that's control. And if she actually wants to be part of something real, she's going to have to let go of the reins. Because parenting isn't just about proximity or permanence. It's about creating a space where everyone can thrive independently, including Max. But here's the catch. Will she? Grooming doesn't stop when the game has won. Fuck. But here's the catch. Will she? Grooming doesn't stop when the game is won. It evolves, shifts, tightens its grip, and unless Max recognizes what's happening, unless he takes back the autonomy that's been stripped from him, this cycle will only continue. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to peel my skin off with my Tree Hut Cocoa Colada She Sugar Scrub. Because after unpacking all this, I fucking need it, man. I wish this memoir to be published only when Max is no longer alive. Thus, neither of us is alive when the viewer watches this video. But while the blood still throbs through my writing hand, you're still as much part of blessed matter as I am, and I can still talk to you from here to Monaco. Be true to your wife. Do not let other fellows touch you. I hope you will love your baby. I hope it will be a girl. That wife of yours, I hope, will always treat you well, because otherwise my spectre shall come out of her like black smoke, like a demented giant, and pull her apart nerve by nerve. And do not pity DK. One had to choose between him and KP, and one wanted KP to exist at least a couple of months longer, so as to have her make you live in the minds of later generations. I am thinking of Oryx and Angels, the secret of durable pigments, prophetic sonnets, the refuge of art. And this is the only immortality you and I may share, my Max.
Hey everyone, it's me, Julia Flowergothic. Sorry if I sound a little off. I'm kind of recovering from a minor cold as I'm filming this, but while the credits roll, I want to take some time to talk. This is one of the most difficult videos I've made. The research was tedious. What I found caused me psychological damage. I had to make some sacrifices along the way. I had so many long sleepless nights from the stress of getting this done in time. I put my other passion projects aside to make sure I could devote all of my attention to this. But so many of you believed in me. I've been in contact with so many people, even when this video was nothing but an idea, a concept. And y'all have been so supportive. Some of you even helped me with the research and made sure no stone was left unturned. And I'm so grateful for all the kind words and everything. You lot were the ones that encouraged me to ultimately finish what I started. And there are a few specific people I would like to thank. My best friends Roxanne and Albert, first of all. You both got dragged into the Kelly hole by me, but y'all quickly saw what exactly it was about her that compelled me to make this video. And the in-jokes we shared about her, the laughs, the playful jabs, the times y'all forced me to take a break, they all gave me a good chuckle and a lot of good memories when I was at my most stressed. I also want to give a special shout out to 2 Tumblr blogs dedicated to exposing Kelly, the 2 that were nuked while I was working on this video. Max for Step On Me and Shelby. Shelby, I didn't always agree with you. To be honest, I thought you would assume I had ulterior motives for making this timeline and video, but thank you for sharing it through your asks, and thank you for your service. Some of your asks gave me leads that I would not have found otherwise. And Steppy, thanks for letting me use the original timeline on your blog to create my own. And thank you for collecting all sorts of information on this strange couple. I hope you both are doing well, wherever you are. Speaking of the timeline, thanks to all the F1 gossip accounts on Instagram and Tumblr who saw it and this video first. Thanks again for giving me feedback. I won't name y'all specifically, obviously. I don't want to get your accounts deleted, but you know who you are and I am eternally grateful. And everyone who sent me messages on Tumblr and followed the timeline, thank you so much as well. Thank you for believing in me and sharing everything that I was working on. Thank you to everyone who contributed their voices to this work too. Tyler, Albert again, Madeline, MrCakeDragonMan, Sammy and Jen. Thanks to my brother Matthew, playing Max, and Galaxyuli for playing Kelly and her aliases. I am so grateful for what you have done. Finally, thank you to you, yes you, the viewer, for watching to the very end. Please share this video and the timeline with everyone you know. Spreading awareness can make all the difference. What's the difference? I don't know, but I'm sure some difference is gonna come out of this, it better. I'll leave y'all with some wise words my great-grandmother Benny wrote before her death almost 21 years ago. Words that Max might need to hear. Keep your chin up, always find something to laugh about, and know that your family is here to share the good times and the bad. They may not always like you, but they love you at all times. Remember that the love I have for you means that there is nothing you can do that is unforgivable. Hang in there together. It is the kind of love my mother had for me and that I am convinced God has for us all.